Hogan has passed away at the age of 71. But as he said years ago, Hulkamania will live forever. A tribute to the Hulkster on today's Dan O'Donnell Show, plus huge political news here in Wisconsin as Governor Tony Evers decides against a run for a third term. Much more on the program, including the daily Trump date. Even the President of the United States paying tribute to Hulk Hogan, who, of course, gave one of the most memorable speeches in Republican National Convention history almost exactly 1 year ago today in Milwaukee.
So all you criminals, all you lowlifes, all you scumbags, all you drug dealers, and all you crooked politicians need to answer one question, brother. What you gonna do when Donald Trump and all the Trumpomaniacs run wild on you, brother?
If you would like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show today, 414-799-1130 is our AdventNews.com talk and text line. Reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email DOD@iHeartMedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. Check us out as well, streaming live on YouTube. Just search for the Dan O'Donnell Show. You can also subscribe to the show on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Of course, the big news in Wisconsin today.
I'm announcing that I will not be running for a third term. I'm so humbled to be your governor. This is the best job I ever had. And folks, we are not done yet. There is, as always, much work to do.
The governor, of course, as everyone does, cited family obligations and a desire to retire and spend more time with his wife, children, and grandchildren in a video he put out at about midday today.
Marrying Kathy is the greatest accomplishment of my life because it gave me a lifetime with her, 3 amazing kids, and 9 incredible grandkids. For 5 decades, my family has sacrificed to give me the gift of service. They're my world, and I owe it to them to focus on doing all the things we enjoy and love doing together.
But was Evers effectively forced from the race by a Democrat Party that viewed him as the weakest possible candidate? Now, every potential candidate is making moves to solidify their backers, to make their best case, and to enter into what just might be the widest open Democrat primary in many, many years. That in just a second. First, the sizzling summer cash contest. Word this hour, pay, P-A-Y, pay. You have got until 55 past the hour to go to our website and enter the keyword pay to enter the contest for this hour. Right now, President Trump is at the Federal Reserve, and rather surprising, he is taking questions alongside Too Late Jerome Powell, the nickname that President Trump gave him, as Trump has repeatedly called for Powell to resign and has threatened to fire him. Let's very quickly listen in to what the president and the Federal Reserve chairman are saying.
It's going to be a real long time because it looks like it's got a long way to go. Yes, sir. So,
President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. Other than that, what can I tell you? The country is doing really well. I just briefed the chairman on the deal we made with Japan. Japan is putting up $550 billion in order to lower their tariffs a little bit. That way they have a little bit lower tariff. And they also opened their country to free trade, which nobody thought was even a possibility. And we get a zero tariff in the free trade. We don't pay tariffs, and they're going to pay 15% on everything they send into our country. So it's great. But they put up, as you could call it, seed money. Let's call it seed money. You could call it anything you want, but it's it's a total of $550 billion. So nobody thought any of that was possible, and it's wonderful. And we're doing pretty well with the European Union, likewise. And we have some others. They're all really big, and our country's going to make a lot of money. We would be helped if interest rates would come down, but we're going to see how the board rules on that soon. I'd love to see them come down a lot. but we have a country that's thriving. We had a dead country 1 year ago. Today we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we'll get this one finished.
That is President Trump talking with Jerome Powell during a tour of the Federal Reserve, which, of course, the president has been very critical of, as construction on the Federal Reserve building, plans to improve it, have ballooned to a cost of what's almost unthinkable, $2.5 to $2.7 billion. The president struck a jovial tone as he sort of patted Powell on the back and said, "Hey, we need you to lower interest rates." This has been a constant refrain from the president. He is, of course, absolutely right. Now, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said today that Powell is going to leave not before his term ends in May. So it seems as though maybe a deal has been struck that Powell says, okay, fine, it's time to lower interest rates. We will get to that and much, much more coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, headed by the Daily Trump Date. Now, throughout the show today, because we have two huge stories, one national, one statewide, and we, of course, cover national politics, international politics, with a particular focus on Wisconsin, we're going to weave both of them through the broadcast today. The death of Hulk Hogan, a controversial figure, but undeniably a cultural icon of the past half century, who, like Ozzy Osbourne, who passed away a couple of days ago, completely redefined his chosen profession and elevated it, as well as himself, into the cultural mainstream. Hogan, perhaps even more so than Ozzy Osbourne. Metal music was getting big. Professional wrestling was, before Hogan, a very niche thing. After Hogan, it became, like him, iconic. However, the big local story, of course, the resignation, not technically a resignation, but the announcement from Governor Tony Evers that he is not going to run for a third term. Throughout the show today, we are going to be looking back at the legacy of Governor Evers, in addition to talking and analyzing the politics and what the state of play is now. And oh, by the way, coming up at 3:35-ish, just about 20 minutes from now, Wisconsin Congressman Tom Tiffany is going to join me. He really wanted to come on today to talk about Governor Evers announcing he's not going to seek another term. And who knows, maybe make an announcement of his own or not. But you know I'm going to ask him the question, is he going to run for governor? There are two announced Republican candidates, Josh Schoeman, the county executive of Washington County, also New Berlin-based businessman Bill Berrien, who is putting a lot of money into this race already. He is spent on broadcast ads about as much as Schoeman has raised. Tom Tiffany would be by far the highest profile figure to get into this race. But the big question now is, who will Dems gravitate towards? There are some obvious contenders, led by Josh Cole. He is the attorney general who really does not seem to have very many friends in the Democrat caucus. As I have been saying for several weeks now, citing multiple Democrat sources, Josh Cole is about the least popular major figure in Wisconsin Democrat politics amongst his fellow Democrats. Now, Cole has been positioning himself for this moment for the past 8 years. He has clearly wanted to run for governor. He clearly saw his post as attorney general as a stepping stone towards higher office. And just this past week, he joined Wisconsin in another multi-state lawsuit, this one seeking to retain benefits for illegal immigrants. You know, the benefits, the social welfare benefits that we were told for years illegal immigrants weren't actually receiving. He has joined tons of these lawsuits against the first Trump administration and again in the second Trump term, as well as a handful of lawsuits during the Biden years, seeking to elevate his profile for this run. He has the most cash on hand, about $400,000 in cash on hand, and he would be the best funded candidate, we think. Sarah Rodriguez, the lieutenant governor, notably marched in the Oconomowoc parade. You remember the 4th of July parade in Oconomowoc, where they weren't going to allow any Republicans to march, including Congressman Scott Fitzgerald and pretty much every state representative in the area, Barb Dietrich, the state assemblywoman there. They raised a stink about this, and Rodriguez marched in the parade and carried only Sarah Rodriguez signs. There was no Evers Rodriguez 2026. There was no mention of Tony Evers. Jessica McBride, who was at the parade, noted this and posted about it on Wisconsin Right Now. And that should have been a clear sign way back then that Evers probably was not going to run again. In fact, in case you're wondering why the announcement was today, you might remember, if you listen to the Dan O'Donnell show a lot, and you should, because frankly, we're delightful. But if you listen a lot, you would have heard me last week, Wednesday, reporting that, well, I wasn't going to say definitively that Evers was not going to run again, although I kept hearing that over and over and over. Pretty much all summer, I was hearing from both Republican and Democrat sources at the state capitol that Evers had already decided he wasn't going to run for a third term. I was hearing increasing chatter that the announcement was going to come within 24 to 48 hours after I was talking to one of my sources on Wednesday morning. The most likely day that there was going to be an announcement, I reported, was therefore a week ago today. That didn't happen. When I put out a post on X saying the announcement I'm hearing from multiple sources is going to be within 24 to 36 hours, because I posted about it maybe 12 hours after I first got the initial report from one of my sources about the timeline, someone that I really trust. And I said, okay, that this is probably final. And then I called a couple of other people and they're saying, yeah, we're hearing probably Thursday, meaning last week, Thursday. Governor Evers' spokesperson, Britt Cuddeback, became aware of my tweet. She quote tweeted it, meaning she highlighted it and said, looks like another one of these anonymous sources is going to be wrong. There is no announcement coming within 24 to 36 hours. I am told that the Evers administration actually pushed back the announcement by a week once they realized that it had leaked out. They didn't want to give me the satisfaction of being right, and they were furious that the information leaked, especially to somebody like me, who they rather obviously despise. So in case you're wondering why the announcement was made today, I can confidently say it was because they wanted to give a big old middle finger to one Dan O'Donnell. Back to the potential candidates, though. Sarah Rodriguez is not exactly high profile. And I'm told the Evers people, led by Britt Cuddeback and her girlfriend slash boss slash possible spouse, the real governor of Wisconsin, Maggie Gao, Evers' chief of staff, just do not like Rodriguez or Rodriguez's staff. I'm starting to sense a pattern here. So Evers sort of intentionally pushed Rodriguez to the sidelines, because if she was allowed to be front and center and to sort of shine, there was a concern that there would be a loud clamor for Evers to step aside so that she, a woman of color, would be able to take his place. Does this sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? It's almost as though we just went through this a summer ago with a doddering old president and a woman of color who desperately wanted to succeed him. But there is going to be no coronation of Sarah Rodriguez, especially when you also have potentially David Crowley, Cavalier Johnson, Man Deadbeat Barnes just said, apparently to Scott Bauer of the Associated Press, that he's looking at a run for governor. Oh, please, God, you have already taken from us Theo Huxtable, Ozzy Osbourne, and now Hulk Hogan. Please just give us a Man Deadbeat Barnes run for governor in 2026. Amen. He would be easily the worst candidate who could possibly run, which means Man Deadbeat, by all means, I will be your campaign manager free of charge, sir. I will advise you if you just get into this race. However, it is also believed that if Crowley gets into the race, and he has been more open about talking, saying, I'm looking at this. He has made more vocal plans to potentially get into the race. If he does, it's believed that Cavalier Johnson, the mayor of Milwaukee, will not. Man Deadbeat, sort of a wild card. So too is Sarah Godlewski, the Secretary of State, who was given that position because she agreed to drop out of the 2022 Democrat Senate primary just a week before the vote because the Dems wanted Man Deadbeat to run away with the nomination. So they forced Alex Lasry and Godlewski to get out of the race. Well, what happened later on that year? This was somewhat scandalous, but not really. Doug LaFollette gets elected to what amounts to a do-nothing position. Secretary of State has no actual authority, but he immediately resigns, and Evers gives Godlewski the Secretary of State job, positioning her to potentially run for statewide office. She clearly wants to be a United States senator. She and her husband have a ton of money. Would you believe that when she started her run for Senate, you talk about presumptuous, she and her husband actually bought a townhouse in Washington, D.C., assuming that she would get through the primary and just defeat Ron Johnson out of hand. That, of course, didn't happen. And I am told that what she really, really wants is to be a senator. And she was promised not only a statewide position, but also a chance to run for a statewide job that actually has some authority. Would she want to be governor? Maybe, maybe not. The other possibility, Kelda Helen Royce, who I believe has dropped the Helen. She's now Kelda Royce, state senator. She actually finished a surprising third in the primary in 2018, where Evers eventually won and then scored something of an upset over Scott Walker. Would you believe Scott Walker just tweeted out a coy little backhanded reference to the possibility of him coming back and running again? I haven't talked to him, but my guess is that he's trolling everybody. He is doing very, very well as the president of the Young Americas Foundation. I am told he and Tonette are very happy doing that. They're splitting their time between the Reagan Ranch in California and out in Lake Country. Actually sort of near my mom and her boyfriend. So maybe I'll just stop by on the pontoon and say, hey, Scott, you running for governor again? And then the police will come and take me away. The future is not especially bright for the Democrats. They don't have an obvious successor to Evers. One thing I can confidently predict, however, is that they are almost certain to galvanize very, very quickly around one candidate because they know how destructive these knives-out primaries are. The legacy of Tony Evers coming up next on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. This is The Dan O'Donnell Show.
When starting a new home project, the first step is the hardest to take. Hi, Colleen here with Tri-County Contracting. And with Tri-County Contracting, the first step is super easy. Go to tricountycontractingwi.com. You can fill out a short form requesting a free estimate. Amanda will give you a call and schedule a no-pressure appointment with you. Whether it's roofing, siding, windows, or all of the above, we have you covered. If you are looking for an even faster roof price, we also have our instant roof quote button. Name, address, and email address, and you have your price on the spot. Easy first step. Then, all the steps after that, we'll take care of those for you. Getting you an easy-to-read, clear proposal quickly comes next. Then we can help you pick colors using our showroom or project map on our website. We pull the permits, we take care of materials and disposal. Our trained and specialized crews and project managers take care of all the install and cleanup. For you, it's as easy as one step, and that step is easy. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. Tri-County Contracting.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to adventknows.com.
If something happens to you, what happens to your family? Will they struggle financially? Will they be able to afford the home you built together? With Ethos, you can get life insurance coverage in minutes. Get up to $2 million in coverage for as little as $2 a day. All online with no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions. Get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy. Rates may vary. Billed monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
After joining the United States Army, Thomas Kennedy served 2 tours of duty in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. But sadly, this soldier's life was tragically cut short. Thomas was killed by a Taliban suicide bomber in Afghanistan. He left behind his wife Cammie and their beautiful twins Maggie and Brody. Tunnel to Towers provided the Kennedy family with a mortgage-free home. Families like the Kennedys need your help. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org. That's T2t.org.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go.
Hey, it's Jerry Bott. You know that feeling you get when you realize you're dealing with a company that cares about you, not just as a customer, but as a person? That's the overwhelming feeling I got when I bought my vehicle at Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac. The Holiday staff was attentive, patient, totally engaged, and they listened. That inspires confidence, and confidence inspires trust.
Connect with Holiday's summer road trip sale. Score enticing offers and get more for your trade on a new Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC.
Oh, we are all looking for adventure.
Come be our guest. Take a test drive and get ready to travel the road ahead. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday.
Living free, and I was meant to be free. Meant to be free.
Holiday Automotive, Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com.
It's worth the trip.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
Don't settle for a flimsy bank pre-approval. Get the pre-approval listing agents and sellers recognized as better than the rest. The rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from AccuNet. Get yours by clicking on the blue button at accunet.com.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. I am being reminded that Sarah Rodriguez is not actually a woman of color. She married a Hispanic guy named Rodriguez. Her maiden name is Russell. That's how little anyone knows about her. She has been sent to the backest of the backbench. Backest, yeah, it's a word, sure. The farthest back of the backbench, because it was decided that the Evers people did not want to give the forces within the Democrat Party any opportunity to try to push him aside. There were a lot of people who wanted Evers to announce even earlier that he wasn't going to run again. Do you remember last August, during the Democratic National Convention, where Evers was tasked with what would seem to be a very simple thing, announcing that Wisconsin's 90-some delegates will go to Kamala Harris? He, well, did this.
I'm here because I'm jazz as hell to announce that Wisconsin passed one vote present and 94 votes were for, where are we at? Got me going here. Former Wisconsinite, former state, oh my God. I love you, Dirty! I love you, Dirty! votes for. I'll get there, Jason. I'll get there. 94 votes for former Wisconsinite, Vice President, and our next President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Okay. This guy was like one auto pen and a crackhead's son away from being Joe Biden. And a lot of people saw that moment and said, really? I have been told that Evers has been, in the words of two different sources, one Republican, one Democrat, and one quite close to the Evers administration, as saying that over the past year or so, it has been very noticeable that Tony has, quote, slowed down. Now, I have been for 8 straight years making fun of Governor Evers, who kind of talks like this. I am not going to make jokes because, look, it's a natural part of life. And I guess I give him credit for recognizing that he was slowing down immediately after winning the governorship and allowing Maggie Gao to rule in his stead for 8 straight years. So thank you very much for that, Tony. But it was apparent to a lot of people observing him that he just wasn't the same. Now, I'm not talking about the obvious Biden cognitive decline. So please don't, Dan O'Donnell's reporting that Tony Evers doesn't have a brain anymore. That would imply that I thought Tony Evers once did have a brain, which is, of course, completely not true. I'm not going to make fun because it's natural aging. What people have seen is just kind of doesn't have the energy anymore, is forgetting a little bit more. It's, I've got loved ones who I've watched go through this, going through it kind of now. They're not the same as they were. It's a little more each year. And frankly, when he said, look, I want to spend time with the kids and grandkids, a big part of me believes him. And I wish way more of the Democrat baby boomers who have seized power since the mid-1990s and are holding on to it like grim death would follow his lead. Evers, however, was a disaster of a governor. And throughout the show, we are going to remind you just how bad it was. From actually inciting the burning of Kenosha, and oh yes, he most certainly did, to a 400-year veto funding K-12 public schools in Wisconsin for another 4 centuries, to an unconstitutional mask mandate in which the governor made an absolute mockery out of the Wisconsin Constitution and his emergency declaration powers, to quite literally secretly recording his political enemies. This was a guy who couldn't have retired early enough.
I'm Mark Belling, and my podcast is here, and I'm tackling the world. You can find me on the iHeart app or wherever you get your podcasts. Type Mark Belling Podcast in the search and hang on for the ride.
The Mark Belling Podcast is presented by Uline. For quality shipping and industrial supplies, Uline has everything in stock. Visit uline.com. Also supported by NX Wealth Management. The Mark Belling Podcast, now available at iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Dan here. I was driving eastbound on 94 the other day, right above the Weather Pro Exteriors headquarters out in West Dallas. I saw their brand new billboard, and it reminded me just how much I respect that company. What stood out to me wasn't just the sign. It was really everything around it, their equipment, spotless. Garages, immaculate, everything in perfect order. And that tells me a lot about how they'll treat your home exterior project. Whether you need roofing, siding, windows, doors, or gutters, WeatherPro Exteriors is who I recommend. They were named the 2024 top choice for commercial and residential roofing, #1 for 6 straight years. And they lead in overall remodeling, siding, gutters, doors, and windows. And right now they're offering $1,000 off a full roof replacement, plus a $200 quick trip gift card as a thank you for choosing them. So be sure to call or schedule online today at weatherproexteriors.com. Tell them Dan sent you. That is weatherproexteriors.com.
Bob built a brand over the same 20 years INET has. I bought multiple properties over those years. Bob gets real estate like I never will.
In real estate, every brokerage does the same thing. MLS. Adding auction bidding to MLS, I knew if INET branded it, told our story, home sellers would understand and accept this real estate revolutionizing platform.
You can be the best in your industry like Redefined Realty is. Even revolutionize your industry like Redefined Realty has with auction. Yet, it's your story that sells.
You can't tell your story as well as INET Creative Genius will tell your story.
Real estate for winners is exactly what Redefined Realty and auction has always been.
Steven knocked our brand and marketing out of the park.
Selling a home? If you don't use Redefine's MLS and auction platform, you'll leave closing with less money than you would have. Tragic and that simple.
Websites, branding, design, video, and radio. INET is improving marketing for winners.
INETJustWork.com.
CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
Real estate for winners. RedefinedRealty.com.
Do you have a written financial plan? Hi, I'm Aaron Kowal of Kowal Investment Group. We have recently joined Creative Planning, a national registered investment advisor. This move allows us to provide more comprehensive wealth management services to help with all aspects of your finances, including your investments, taxes, estate plan, and more. At Creative Planning, we understand life is busy, and sometimes important things like retirement planning can fall to the wayside. So I'm here to remind you to take time to plan. A 1-hour complimentary consultation with our fiduciary advisors will help you get started on the path to your dream retirement. We will review your current financial situation, your goals and needs, and help you plan for life's what-ifs. Don't delay planning for your future any longer. And even if you already have a plan, a second opinion from our advisors can help determine if there are adjustments to make. Kowal Investment Group is now Creative Planning. Visit creativeplanning.com to get started. That's creativeplanning.com.
The Milo bedroom from Penny Mustard takes you back to the time of Mad Men, martinis, and mop tops.
Right on.
I love Milo's clean, streamlined look.
It's a gas.
Made in the USA and skilled to fit any room.
Perfect for your pad.
It's totally bodacious.
Wrong decade, Arvid.
Don't be so square, man.
The Milo bedroom with queen platform bed, 6-drawer dresser, mirror, and 3-drawer nightstand, starting at $52.09 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Restoring your home or business to its natural beauty is our only business. We are Wisconsin's most trusted carpet cleaner for over 75 years.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
Hi, it's Jay. Let's talk about the roof on your home. A lot of you will need to replace your roof this summer, but be forewarned, there are roofing companies out there that skip over the most important part of the process, the attic ventilation. If your attic doesn't have proper air circulation, it can cause problems like mold and wood rot, leaks in the winter, not to mention higher AC bills in the summer. This is one of the reasons I recommend Semperfi Roofing to my listeners. Their process begins with a free 21-point roof inspection that includes a thorough inspection of your attic. They know that if the ventilation isn't right, the roof will be built on a shaky foundation. Every Semperfi roof comes with a well-thought-out attic ventilation plan, and that's why they can offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. Money-saving discounts and financing incentives are available. Call for your free 21-point roof inspection and estimate today, 262-600-2910, or book an appointment online at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
iHeart's Yacht Rock Radio goes commercial-free every weekend. Enjoy the greatest 70s and 80s smooth, soft rock all weekend. All commercial-free. High tide, low tide, no tide. Yacht Rock Radio works anywhere. Open the free iHeartRadio app, search Yacht Rock, and make it a preset now.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
WISN listeners are wise, enlightened, engaged, and have impeccably good taste. Thank you for making us Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130 WISN. Profound insight, piercing analysis. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
I've seen the little Hulkamaniacs. They're trading the prayers of vitamins. They're going to live forever. Hulkamania's going to live forever. And if Andre the Giant physically destroyed me, physically wiped me out, physically took the belts, maybe the little Hulksters wouldn't believe that you got to play it straight, that you got to keep your head high, man. Andre the Giant, Hulkamania will live forever.
Hulk Hogan, dead at the age of 71. Suffice it to say, though, Hulkamania will live forever. Dan O'Donnell here, one of our two big stories of the day. The other, of course, Governor Evers deciding not to run for a third term. Joining us now to talk about that is Wisconsin Congressman Tom Tiffany, who is going to do this entire interview in the style of Hulk Hogan delivering a wrestling promo. All right, Congressman, are you ready? No, I'm just kidding. Although if you'd like to try.
I just ripped off my shirt. I'm ready.
I love it. Were you into wrestling back in the Hulk Hogan rock and wrestling era of the 80s?
Actually, I'm a little bit before that. In Western Wisconsin, we used to watch the Twin Cities television, and they had the Crusher and Mad Dog, and all those guys. It was just legendary.
And Hulk Hogan was the guy who built off of the legacies that they had created. And he was really the one who turned pro wrestling into this mainstream spectacle. But obviously, you're not here to talk about pro wrestling unless you really want to, because I could talk about some Mad Dog Vachon all day long. So I thought it was rather interesting, Congressman. Within about an hour of Governor Evers announcing that he's not going to run for a third term, I get a phone call from your office asking if I would like to have Congressman Tiffany on the radio show today. And I'm putting two and two together. And I'm saying, hey, wait a second. Does Congressman Tiffany want to make an announcement right here live on the Dan O'Donnell show this afternoon?
I think you should just chalk it up to outstanding staff work. I have one of the best staffs out in Washington, D.C. They get things done. How's that?
Now, this would be the point at which you are, I'm going to use a pro wrestling term, you are no-selling my question, which means you're not allowing this question to have any impact on you, sir. Very well done. That was like sort of the Hulk Hogan trademark. You obviously are weighing a run for governor. What does today's announcement do for your decision-making process?
Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, Dan, most people know by now that I am seriously considering running for governor. I've been laying the groundwork here for a couple years, and, it's getting to the point where it's decision time. And I've been saying consistently, after we get done with our session here in July and we go on work break here for the month of August, then I'm going to make a decision. So it's probably the next 30 to 60 days that I'll make a decision. We got a couple other things that I really need to make sure that everything is in order. I need to talk to my wife further about this. We've had multiple discussions about it. It's a big deal and it's a major commitment. And
whoa. You haven't gotten her permission yet? I would think that would be like the first thing you lock down.
There will be no problem there, but
oh, okay.
I just want to make sure.
All right, you got to double check. Did you have to exchange anything? All right, honey, if you let me, you get a Louis Vuitton bag if you let me run for governor. How does that work in the Tiffany household? I'm assuming it's not Louis Vuitton because I know you and your family, sir.
Yeah, no. It just had to do with decorations in the White House, or excuse me, in the residence
in the governor's mansion. Sure. Yep. Yeah. Are you gonna like President Trump? I've noticed every time they show him in the Oval Office, there's more gold stuff in there. Are you gonna like have all camouflage in the governor's mansion? If you like blaze orange, would you festoon it in blaze orange? Congressman Tom Tiffany.
My wife. Ask my wife.
All right, I'm taking a wild guess. She's not going to go for the camo.
No.
But so you are thinking about this. There are 2 announced candidates already in the race. What would you bring that they wouldn't?
So I'm going to bring a proven vote getter to the ballot. And as people have been talking about, Wisconsin's shifted a little bit. I mean, you have to do well in all parts of the state. And I believe I can do well in all parts of the state. But you've seen our electorate shift a little bit. And it's shifted to northern and western Wisconsin. Those people that have not studied Joe Handrick's analysis of the 2024 election, they should do that, because he refers to it as the northern wall counties. And that's where we have been dominating. I went steadily up every election to where I'm at 63.6 this last election, the highest that we've seen in a couple decades. And so I'm a proven vote getter. I started in town government and now am in Congress. I helped write budgets in the state legislature, in the state Senate when I was on the Joint Finance Committee. I know how it all fits together. But I think more than that, you have to win an election. And I am a proven vote getter, and I can deliver the message that is going to pull all parts of our big tent together. Because if you talk to my colleagues in the state legislature when I was there, I worked together well, though known as a staunch conservative. I work well with everyone, and we're going to pull people together from around the state and build that winning coalition that only Ron Johnson and President Trump have done in the last decade.
That sure sounds like a guy who is given serious thought to his message in a primary. Are you absolutely sure you don't want to make an announcement on the Dan O'Donnell show right now? Absolutely sure.
No, I've made a commitment that I'm going through this process methodically, and we're going to make a decision next 30 to 60 days. In fact, I don't think it's smart to do an announcement in summer like this. And so it'll probably be September, but people are going to know, because we're going to make a decision one way or another what we're going to do. I mean, it's not nothing that I would be giving up having the 7th congressional district. We are having, the stuff that we've done in Washington, D.C. in the last 6 months, it is good stuff, turning America around. But I do think that it's also the states. And I do not, after the presidency, I think the governors are the most powerful people in America.
Absolutely.
And I do not want our state to end up like Minnesota or Illinois. And so there's just 2 questions I asked, Dan, is that where can I do the most good for the people of the state of Wisconsin? Am I the best candidate to help us win at this place in time? If the answer is yes to both of those, then I'm going to run.
What do you think ultimately Tony Evers' legacy is going to be as governor of Wisconsin?
I think he'd be recognized as a nice guy. I mean, relatively quiet. I don't think there'll be he will not stand out like a Tommy Thompson or Governor Walker. I mean, he's not going to stand out. And even like Pat Lucy and others, he's just a very modest profile and nice man. I wish he and Kathy the best in their retirement. But there's a couple things that we'll be focused on if I run, and that is going to be, we have fallen behind Mississippi in educational attainment.
Yeah.
Fallen behind Mississippi in our kids can't read. That is not who we are as Wisconsinites. We're the 2nd highest cost energy state in the Midwest now. That is not how you keep, especially manufacturing businesses in the state of Wisconsin. After this blowout of a budget that he put forward, we're probably going to have a structural deficit heading into the next one. And then you got the 400-year property tax increase. Talk about death and taxes, Dan.
This is immortality of taxes.
Yes.
This is like the vampire tax. You would, of course, undo that immediately, correct?
Yes. In fact, we would freeze property taxes. I think that's one of the things that Governor Walker understood so clearly and made. And it's what the people of Wisconsin responded to, was that property taxes are going to be kept under control. And for the working class coalition that we now have as Republicans, property taxes are the most important tax to them.
He is Wisconsin Congressman Tom Tiffany. Sir, you know I'm going to keep badgering you about when it is that you're going to announce, and we would want to have you on one way or another, whatever it is that you decide. We hope that you obviously come back and chat with us, and anytime you want, just come on, hang out, and we'll talk some pro wrestling. How about that?
Sounds good. I appreciate the interest, Dan, and it's a big decision. It's a big deal for the state of Wisconsin. Which direction are we going to go here?
Yeah.
Are we going to Minnesota, Illinois, or are we going to be one of the prosperous states of America? That's the choice in 2026.
It sure is. Well, sir, as you contemplate your future and the future of this state, I want you to do 3 things for me, okay? Train, say your prayers, and take your vitamins. Can you do that for me?
My wife has me doing each of those.
All right. You, sir, are a perfect Hulkamaniac. Congressman Tom Tiffany, always a pleasure talking with you. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. When we come back, we will name the unhinged liberal of the day.
From the place you want to go, Lynch McGuanago Traffic Center.
Westbound on 94 heavy 27 to past Hawley, taking 15 from the Marquette out to Moreland Road. 4394 northbound stalled a vehicle off to the right shoulder after Mitchell Street. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Stay connected and stay productive with Rapid Radios. Business owners trust Rapid Radios for instant, reliable team communication with nationwide LTE coverage, push-to-talk convenience, and room for up to 200 units on one feed. Keeping connected's never been easier.
Order now at rapidradios.com.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, which really is your best decision after a collision. I've been trusting my vehicles with Mander for years, and I've referred dozens of family members and friends there. All of them say the exact same thing as Mander customer Adam, who left this 5-star review. Your car will be in great hands here. Brian and Crystal took amazing care of my BMW M4. I had dents and scratches from a tree branch falling on my car, and they made sure that the car was taken care of. Everyone at Mander was professional and timely. I hope I don't need their services anytime soon, but if I do, I'll be back. Mander has locations across the greater Milwaukee and Waukesha area, so getting to one is easy and convenient. And starting your repair is just as easy and even more convenient. All you need to do is head online to mandercollision.com.
You understand the premise?
Yes, the premise is a promise.
And the promise is for our big bank
to be like First American Bank.
No. We promise to try and be like First American Bank.
What?
It's impossible for us to be like First American Bank. They have the best loan deals in town.
Really?
Really. And First American Bank gives you a First American Bank loan specialist who works with you every step of the way.
No.
Yes.
So no shuffling them around from department to department, person to person?
Just a First American Bank specialist to make the loan process quick, easy, and smooth.
So First American Bank can do everything a big bank like us can do and more.
Yeah, makes me nauseous too.
Ooh, better idea. We just promised to be more like First American Bank. I mean, is more or is less than more still more?
Oh.
We'll fool everyone.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit firstambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When it's 94 degrees inside and you've melted to the couch,
and a dog has claimed the fridge,
and the ice cubes have melted themselves out of misery,
and you've started naming your sweat beads,
then it's officially time to call Capital. We offer same-day air conditioning service 7 days a week.
And for a limited time, all our AC service calls are free when we make the repair.
Just call Capital. We'll bring back the brrr.
Old-fashioned service, you can't go wrong. Call CapitalCares.com.
I'm Dr. Jennifer Grieve at Reset Restore MD IV Ketamine Therapy Centers. IV ketamine is superior to ketamine lozenges. If you suffer with depression, anxiety, or PTSD, listen to real R&R MD patient feedback.
My treatments helped greatly reduce and eliminate my chronic back pain.
I've tried many therapies for depression, and this has been the most impactful. The environment is relaxing, and the staff are incredibly kind.
Amazing, life-changing, wonderful. Dr. Jennifer changed my life for the better with ketamine infusions.
R&R MD helped me deal with anxiety and be more calm with hectic things going on. Years of talk therapy can't do what this did in a few sessions.
Intravenous ketamine infusions take about an hour at our Brookfield or Mequon R&R MD locations. Relief can continue for weeks, months, even a lifetime. R&R for Relief, Reset Restore MD, rnrmd.com. That's rnrmd.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
From the road to the roof, S&K will fix your plumbing problems 24/7.
Critical events drive critical times, and these are the times to learn critical lessons. Recent events should teach us that the struggle for liberty is ongoing, and forces that are misguided or sinister stand at the ready to take our liberties away. At News Talk 1130 WISN, we are dedicated to identifying the risks to our freedoms as they arise, and to alert you to those risks, valuing our liberties and our rights. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Wisconsin Congressman Tom Tiffany certainly sounds like a man who is running for governor of the state. I mean, he's been weighing a run for a long time now, and I obviously could not get an answer out of him. My guess would be he's leaning towards running just based on how he answered all of my questions about it. But who knows? Who knows? It is wide open right now. We'll get right back into the state of play in Wisconsin. A lot of people want my opinion on who I think will be the toughest to beat for Republicans. I've actually got a pretty well thought out answer on this, and it depends. We'll get into that, plus the Evers legacy of failure, the daily Trump date as Mr. President, Mr. Trump goes to the Fed, I think would be the name of today's episode. All that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Right now, though, it's time to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is Jasmine Crockett, the Texas rep, who is saying the quiet part out loud that Dems are going to rely on a flood of dark money next year to win the midterms.
We also know that there are donors that I'm sure are going to be willing to make sure that they are investing and making sure that they can take down some of these candidates since they don't want to rule out dark money. I'm sure some dark money gonna pour in on the behalf of the American people. So what I am saying is every tactic, as well as making sure we're touching people.
On the behalf of the American people, that dark money is going to flow through. You can always count on Jasmine for a good quote. Jasmine Crockett is your unhinged liberal of the day. Stay tuned. The Dan O'Donnell Show will be back right after the news.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Listen to Benjamin Yount, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
Side by side at the Fed. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump
Trump taking a tour of renovations at the Federal Reserve alongside the Fed chair as probes of cost overruns continue. The president saying he wanted to see construction for himself to help understand what he says is a more than $3 billion renovation at Fed headquarters.
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell disputed those figures.
You just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago.
President Trump has been highly critical of Powell, nicknaming the Fed chair too late for refusing to lower a key interest rate. Still, the president says he does not intend to replace Powell before his term expires next year.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The Trump administration is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to let the government proceed with sweeping cuts to National Institutes of Health grants as part of a crackdown on diversity initiatives. The Justice Department asking the High Court to lift a federal judge's ruling in June that halted that plan as a violation of federal law requiring the government to reinstate access to the grant funds. This stems from a legal challenge by researchers and 16 Democrat-led states. Larger than life, a common theme in the tributes flowing today for Hulk Hogan. The wrestling icon died earlier today in Florida. He was 71 and had a career that branched out to TV and movies.
Thunder Lips is here in the flesh, baby.
Oh my God. Including Rocky III.
He affected so many people in my generation, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and growing up.
Nick Nemeth wrestled as Dolph Ziggler.
He was bigger than wrestling. He crossed over pop culture, went into one of the biggest movies of all time, and stood out because of professional wrestling as the big, out there, gigantic, turned up to 11 star.
The president writing today that we've lost a great friend. America's listening to Fox News.
Here's the latest forecast presented by AdventKnows.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Scattered showers and storms today with hot and humid conditions once again. Expect air temperatures in the 80s, dew points in the mid 70s, and heat indices in the mid to upper 90s at times. Cooler on Friday, then the heat returns over the weekend. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Stay connected and stay productive with Rapid Radios. Business owners trust Rapid Radios for instant, reliable team communication with nationwide LTE coverage, push-to-talk convenience, and room for up to 200 units on one feed. Keeping connected's never been easier.
Order now at rapidradios.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
After joining the United States Army, Thomas Kennedy served 2 tours of duty in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. But sadly, this soldier's life was tragically cut short. Thomas was killed by a Taliban suicide bomber in Afghanistan. He left behind his wife Cammie and their beautiful twins, Maggie and Brody. Tunnel to Towers provided the Kennedy family with a mortgage-free home. Families like the Kennedys need your help. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in Vegas.
T-Mobile Arena.
September 19th and 20th, streaming live only on Hulu. 15 artists, 2 nights, 1 stage. Get tickets now at AXS.com.
The 2025 iHeartRadio Music Festival is brought to you by Metro. With their new lower prices, the celebration starts way before the festival. Big savings so you can focus on your favorite artist, not your phone bill. Only at Metro by T-Mobile.
A Generac automatic standby generator that kicks right in when your power goes out is great peace of mind. Get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from the #1 Generac dealer, Generator Supercenter. Go to GeneratorSupercenter.LakeCountry.com.
Neglecting concrete or asphalt problems is like neglecting a cavity. It isn't going to fix itself, and the longer you leave it, the worse it is going to get. And the more it's going to cost to fix.
Mud Tech's here to save the day. 262-337-0934.
Eliminate unsightly, even dangerous concrete and asphalt problems while increasing your business's curb appeal. Safer, user-friendly concrete and asphalt costs less than you think. Mud Tech!
262-337-0934.
Better curb appeal brings more tenants, more customers, and happier neighbors.
MudTech 262-337-0934.
Seal Coat makes old gray asphalt new again. Cracks and plow bending potholes disappear. Trip hazards are quickly and inexpensively raised or replaced back to grade with MudTech. Having Wisconsin's premier pavement technicians repair the damage from washed out concrete and asphalt will double the life of your pavement.
MudTech 262-337-0934.
MudTech resolves every concrete or asphalt problem, leaving your pavement smooth, your life worry-free, and enough money in your bank to take the kind of trip you want to take. MudTechWorks.com.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Listen to Benjamin Yount, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
Hulk Hogan arrived. Hulk. What is he doing? God, is he the third man? He's the third man. Look at this. I don't believe it. The leg drop. Hogan got the leg drop. The referee's there. There's a pin.
Some of the biggest moments in the illustrious career of Hulk Hogan, who passed away today at the age of 71, sudden cardiac arrest. Hogan was very busy promoting his Real American beer. I can tell you that he was very active in promoting it because I was actually just emailing back and forth with the media people over at Real American to try to book Hulk Hogan on the Dan O'Donnell show to talk about Trump, to talk about beer, and they were trying to work him in. Unfortunately, the sad day for wrestling, a day that unfortunately those of us who grew up watching pro wrestling when we were very, very young, I was into it from about fourth grade to about maybe the end of fifth. My dad took me to a show down at the Bradley Center. It was Bret the Hitman Hart and The Undertaker and Yokozuna. I believe Hogan had left WWF, now WWE, for WCW. Those moments, for those who did not follow wrestling, are some of the biggest in the history of the sport that, well, the history of the quote unquote sport, I believe now they call it sports entertainment, now that everyone knows. The outcomes are staged, but folks, do not pretend that these guys and gals are not incredible athletes. Coming up later in the show, on his last day on Earth, in his very last interview, he happened to be spotted by, I think, somebody from TMZ. And he was asked about what he's working on now. Hulk Hogan was a complicated dude, and a lot of people inside the business despised him because he would refuse to be booked to lose. He would refuse to put over or help out the careers of younger up-and-coming superstars because he was always afraid of being eclipsed. Well, the last thing he was working on was doing just that. Helping young amateur wrestlers become professional wrestlers, not pro wrestlers like WWE, but being able to do freestyle wrestling professionally. We'll get into that coming up. Those big moments that you heard in the open, probably the one that even people who don't follow pro wrestling, WrestleMania 3, when Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. Hogan was like 6'7", 6'8", and he was dwarfed by Andre the Giant. Wrestling was sort of notorious for, shall we say, artificially inflating the heights and weights of wrestlers. When they build Andre the Giant at 7'4", he was a legit 7'4" and 500 some pounds. Hogan was a huge guy, and Andre dwarfed him. Then you had the infamous heel turn when Hogan joined WCW, and the unthinkable happened. Hulk Hogan, the hero to Hulkamaniacs across the world, turned into a bad guy. It was one of the smartest business moves anyone ever made. It extended Hogan. Hulkamania was fading by the mid-1990s as the upstart Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, these guys were starting to come into their own. And it was a new era in the business. And Hogan turning into a bad guy and dropping the leg on Macho Man Randy Savage was a pivotal moment in wrestling. And then finally him pinning, I believe it was The Rock, for his last WWE championship there. What kind of an impact did Hogan have? Even the President of the United States reflected today on his passing. That kicks off our daily Trump Date.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Well, a whole lot of winning for the Trump administration.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
President Trump posting on Truth Social, we lost a great friend today, the Hulkster. Hulk Hogan was MAGA all the way, strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart. He gave an absolutely electric speech at the Republican National Convention. That was one of the highlights of the entire week. He entertained fans from all over the world, and the cultural impact he had was massive. To his wife, Sky, and family, we give our warmest, best wishes and love. Hulk Hogan will be greatly missed. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, during an impromptu meeting with the press this afternoon, was asked about the passing of Hulk Hogan and probably had the line of the day.
A friend of the president passed away today, Hulk Hogan, dead at 71. Do you have a favorite Hulk Hogan member?
I love Hulk Hogan. I had an Italian Mastiff dog, 200 pounds. His name, Hulk Homan.
Okay, I don't care what you think about Tom Homan. That right there is hilarious. Naming your giant dog Hulk Homan. President Trump was at the Federal Reserve just about an hour ago, meeting with Chairman Jerome Powell, who he has repeatedly threatened to fire if, as he calls him, too late Powell doesn't lower interest rates. Well, he toured the Federal Reserve building because there is a $2.5 billion renovation going on right now. That's right. You did not mishear me. $2.5 billion to renovate a building. Trump wanted to see it firsthand, so he took a tour with Powell, talked with him, and Trump was asked a question that I would ask. Look, was this designed to put pressure on Powell?
No, there's no pressure. No, we want to have, his term comes up soon. I think he's going to do the right thing. Everybody knows what the right thing is. Even people that believed in, the higher rates, they're all on board. They all want to see the interest rates come down. It's very important.
President Trump has just signed the first rescissions package from Congress, officially stripping $1 billion+ from public television and NPR. He also this afternoon signed an executive order pushing cities and local governments to remove homeless people from the streets. Federal funds will be redirected to ensure these homeless people are transferred to rehab and treatment centers. It is called the Ending Vagrancy and Restoring Order. Meanwhile, new numbers from the Customs and Border Protection, CBP, shows yet another decrease in migrant encounters, including the lowest number of encounters in a single day last month, June 28th, 128. Throughout the total month of June, Border Patrol agents apprehended 8,024 migrants illegally crossing the border between ports of entry. Officials said in posting these numbers, this is a new historic low. The arrest of 6,072 illegal aliens who crossed the southwest border between ports of entry in June represents a decrease of 15% from the previous record set in March. This is a staggering success for the Trump administration, completely sealing the border almost instantly. Meanwhile, Columbia University has announced it's reached a deal with the Trump administration following months of negotiation to restore federal funding to the school. Columbia did not admit any wrongdoing in, allowing anti-Semites to take over campus for months on end, but it did agree to pay the federal government a $2 $200 million settlement over the course of 3 years, and also pay an additional $21 million to settle Equal Employment Opportunity Commission investigations. Education Secretary Linda McMahon, yes, the wife of Vince McMahon, who, little known fact, while owner of the WWF during Hulk Hogan's meteoric rise in the 1980s, lived right next door to the Hulkster. No wonder the two were so close. Here's Mrs. McMahon.
$100 million is a stiff fine, but clearly we're going to see action at Columbia, and I'm really pleased that we were able to come to this agreement, because I think the students there that are on campus now can feel safe. Students and faculty know that they're going to be evaluated on merit. Hiring programs, are being changed.
That is, ladies and gentlemen, your daily look at what's going on at the White House. We call it the Daily Trump Date each and every day, 3 times a day here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. We also give you a chance to win $1,000. This hour's word in our sizzling summer cash contest is Bills, B-I-L-L-S, Bills. You've got until 55 past the hour to go to our website. Enter the keyword Bills to enter the contest for this hour. Your entry is picked at random. You will win $1,000 to help pay your bills. A lot of people either calling up or texting. I've got an email to this end. All want to know, Dan, who do you think would be the easiest Democrat for Josh Showman or Bill Berrien or Tom Tiffany if he gets in the race to beat? Honestly, I think none of them. Tony Evers wasn't pressured to step aside because they thought he was uniquely vulnerable, or that Democrats thought they were going to lose this position, they were going to lose this election. They wanted him to step aside because everybody else in elective office thinks they have a chance to win in what they see as a bluer and bluer and bluer state. If Deadbeat Barnes were to actually get into the race, as he was talking about earlier today, he probably would be the easiest just because he's already been beaten and he's half nuts. I think Sarah Godlewski, if she gets in, because she's just seen amongst the donor class and political insiders as a lightweight and flighty. Sarah Rodriguez is really an unknown commodity, which it takes money and it takes time to introduce yourself to voters. Josh Kaul is the known commodity, and I can tell you, based on some sources inside the Capitol, they really hate when I talk about how despised Josh Kaul is in Democrat circles. I totally can't figure it out, but they hate him. They just dislike this guy. Josh Kaul is sort of like, he's like the nerdy, pudgy kid who is trying so desperately to fit in with the cool kids, but no matter what he does, and he's joining every multi-state lawsuit to do every insano lefty thing that the cool kids in the Democrat Party want. But because he's not a minority and because he doesn't sexually identify as a woodland sprite, he's not in the good graces of the party elite. That said, objectively, he has the strongest record. He has won statewide twice, and won statewide twice rather convincingly. He would probably be the most formidable candidate. Second, maybe Rodriguez going in with a blank slate because she's such a blank slate. I'll admit, I think I've heard her speak once, and that's about it. Everybody else, I would put in a second tier of candidates, if not third. Now, there are some stragglers who might get in. I'm sure Chris Larson is going to flirt with a bid. You might have Kelda Roys, who her moment has sort of passed. I've heard Greta Neubauer. I think she's very happy leading the Dems. She would be in line for Assembly Speaker. Democrats, folks, are convinced they are going to win everything there is to win next year. They're going to beat Derek Van Orden. They might beat Brian Stile. They're going to take over the state assembly. They're going to take over the state senate. They only need to flip one seat. Why do you think the Journal Sentinel was covering Robin Vining's announcement that she's running for state senate like it was, the coronation of Queen Victoria? It's because they see her as the one to flip the balance of power in the Senate. So Neubauer would be in line to be assembly speaker, and that's something that she wants. As it stands right now, your power rankings are probably as follows. 1, Call. 2, Rodriguez. 3, David Crowley, the Milwaukee County executive. And then 4, any one of maybe a half dozen other names. There's always a wild card. Maybe that kook who owns the Minocqua Brewing Company. I was on WISN with Mark Belling this afternoon right after the news broke, and I suggested, to Belling's roaring laughter, that maybe it would be a wild card like Bill Penzi, whose only downfall in Democrat circles is that he's a little too nuts even for them. Which is why, as Belling said, he sticks to the spice business. I believe the most difficult Democrat to beat would be Call, because one thing I know about the Dems, once they have a candidate, they all fall in line. But folks, make no mistake, and I feel like the lone voice in the wilderness here talking about this, that Wisconsin has become a bluer state. One of the big tells that Evers was not going to run again was the fact that he basically stopped raising money for re-election. I highlighted this looking at reporting by, I think it was Bauer over at the AP, Scott Bauer, or possibly it was J.R. Ross at WisPolitics. One of them just took a look at Evers' campaign finance disclosures and said, wait a second, he's raised like nothing looking for a run. And at that point, that was corroborating the reporting that I had, which, by the way, I am told that they actually did move Evers' announcement from last Thursday to this Thursday, just so I would not be right. I'll still take that as a win. They were big mad because the Evers primary spokesperson, Britt Cuddeback, she retweeted my tweet and said, well, here's another right-wing source there is going to be no announcement in 24 to 36 hours. And I responded, hey, Britt, since you finally got back to me 3 years after I tried to get a comment on your highly inappropriate sexual relationship with your direct boss, Maggie Gao, would you like to comment on that? I am told that really pissed her off with good reason. I'll admit it was snarky. It was... I was in a mood to mess around with Britt Cuddeback. Not like Maggie Gao messes around with Britt Cuddeback, because when she does that, Britt Cuddeback gets promoted. That, by the way, was a big scandal in the Evers administration that, of course, was not treated like any sort of a scandal by the media in this state. Just as you might recall, one of the larger political scandals of the past several years, Governor Tony Evers really was secretly recording meetings with the Republican leaders of the Assembly and the state Senate in an attempt to leak to the media inappropriate things that they might have said. We will talk about that as we discuss the Tony Evers legacy next on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford, Total Traffic Center.
Got about 16 minutes both sides of 4145 between the Zoo and Good Hope. Your northbound delays get better after Silver Spring, and southbound clears up past Capitol Drive. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Stay connected and stay productive with Rapid Radios. Business owners trust Rapid Radios for instant, reliable team communication with nationwide LTE coverage, push-to-talk convenience, and room for up to 200 units on one feed. Keeping connected's never been even easier.
Order now at rapidradios.com.
I'm Dan Voss from Cut and Go. Ugly and depressing and trees killed off by emerald ash, oak wilt, and Dutch elm disease are dangerous for friends and loved ones, even a potential liability. Slowly rotting, left standing hardwood trees can weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Even seemingly smaller branches can weigh tens, even hundreds of pounds. With Cut and Go, there is no reason to risk injury or property damage. Live trees in precarious placement for an arborist to remove over homes, garages, commercial buildings, luxury landscapes are easily and safely laid on the ground by Cut and Go's NCCER crane-operated certified remote control automobile mounted articulating crane grapple saw operators. You can save big money and stock up on firewood by having Cut and Go put your trees on the ground for you to clean up or have a bonfire or split firewood. Or we can take it all with us when we leave. A Tons of Trees movement. Cut and Go trees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com. Once again, that's cutandgotrees.com.
Warshawski trial attorney Frank Crivello here. Folks, I'm Victor Harding. Frank is selected Best Lawyers 2024 Complex Litigation Lawyer of the Year.
More impressive is Victor Harding named Product Liability Attorney of the Year again for 2024.
It may sound boastful to mention these prestigious awards.
It's not boastful considering if you or someone you love is injured, you need to know two attorneys from the same personal injury firm being chosen by other lawyers and judges for these caliber of awards is very rare.
Heaven forbid you ever need an injury claim made on your behalf. If you do, the quality of your attorney and law firm will have a greater impact on the outcome than even the facts of your case.
Former clients, other lawyers, judges, law enforcement officers, and even insurance adjusters,
often our adversaries,
refer their family and friends to Warshawski because they know Warshawski will achieve maximum compensation.
Injured? It is about the money.
Warshawski.com.
That's Warshawski.com.
For safe, purified water right from your faucet, the solution is crystal clear.
Any project, big or small, when it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK, pump and plumbing.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules. Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers announcing he is not going to seek a third term. Here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we are taking a look back at Evers' nearly 8 years in office. Easily the worst moment in his governorship, and I dare say one of the most shameful moments in the history of the governorship in Wisconsin was in August of 2020. At the exact moment, the evening where a video was circulating on social media showing a Kenosha police officer shooting a black man by the name of Jacob Blake, who was armed with a curved blade knife and attempting to kidnap his children, Evers put out a press release telling the mob, effectively, you're justified. At exactly 10:35 p.m., 10:35 p.m. on a Sunday night, zero chance Evers was either writing that or actually awake when it was posted. Tonight, Jacob Blake was shot in the back multiple times in broad daylight in Kenosha, Wisconsin. While we do not have all of the details yet, what we know for certain is that he is not the first black man or person to have been shot or injured or mercilessly killed at the hands of individuals in law enforcement in our state or our country. Now, this was after an entire summer of violent riots over the death of George Floyd. Kenosha was rather obviously a powder keg about to explode. Evers did not say a single word about remaining peaceful. At a following day press conference, as Kenosha lay in smoldering ruins, and it was almost certain there would be more riots that night, Evers again did not urge peace. Do you know the closest he came telling rioters to keep social distance and wear their masks.
I know folks across our state will be making their voices heard in communities across Wisconsin. Every person should be able to make their voices heard and report on these calls to action without any fear of being unsafe. If you're exercising that right today and in the days ahead, please do so peacefully, and please wear your mask and keep social distance as best you can.
The man was literally self-caricature at that point. His rhetoric was so bad, and his lieutenant governor's man, Deadbeat Barnes, was even worse. It was so bad, top law enforcement officials from across the state took an unprecedented step of writing an open letter to both of them, urging them to shut up, because their statements were, quote, premature, judgmental, inflammatory, and only add to the anger and divisiveness of an already dangerous situation. They added, a continued pattern of statements and press releases based on opinion and unsubstantiated claims puts people's lives at risk. Evers did put people's lives at risk because he refused to call out the National Guard. On the evening Jacob Blake was shot, it was obvious to everybody in the state that things were likely to get bad that night. No call to the National Guard. Even after Kenosha burned on a second day, the top law enforcement officials in Kenosha, they were asking for 750 National Guard troops to be deployed to the city that evening. Evers said flat out, no. Republican leaders publicly rebuked him. Privately, law enforcement was begging him. He relented and deployed just 125 National Guard troops. Kenosha burned for a second straight night. Law enforcement officials the following morning said 750 National Guard troops, please. Evers only added another 125, bringing the total to 250. President Trump, hearing this, offered to make up the difference with 500 federal troops. Evers refused. Guess what? Kenosha burned again. That was the night of the infamous shootings. Kyle Rittenhouse, a teenager who was living in Illinois at the time, shot and killed 2 people, injured a third as they attempted to attack Rittenhouse. He was acquitted of murder the following year, as the shootings were all deemed to be in lawful self-defense. The day after those shootings, when libs were going crazy that someone dared to stand up to the mob, Evers finally deployed the National Guard in sufficient numbers to restore order. His dithering was unconscionable, and that paired with his statements make it seem like it was intentional, that he allowed Kenosha to burn to punish the city for the shooting of Jacob Blake. That may have been the single greatest failure of leadership in the history of Wisconsin. And frankly, I'm struggling to think of something that comes even close to rivaling it. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. More after this.
Keep in touch with Dan on Twitter at Dan O'Donnell Show.
More of the show next.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Eastbound 94 heavy from 92nd to 27th. Westbound from 16th over to Hawley. 43 southbound. You're going to be jammed all the way in from Keefe, 20 minutes from Brown Deer. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Stay connected when it matters most. Be prepared with Rapid Radio's walkie-talkies. With instant push-to-talk and LTE nationwide coverage, you can reach family and friends in any emergency. 100% private, no contracts, no hassle.
Stay safe. Order now at rapidradios.com.
For many of us, the most important part of our routine between 6 and 9 weekday mornings is to listen to every minute of the Jay Weber Show on WISN. Sadly, sometimes less important elements of our lives get in the way, such as work, children, and bathing. Don't despair. The Jay Weber Show podcast is available 24/7 to fill any gaps in your hunger for entertainment. Just go to newstalk1130.com, click the podcast tab, and enjoy Jay Weber on demand. Man.
Bob from Redefined Realty here. I'd written my own ads for 20 years.
Creative genius. Here. Same. Well, Inet's ads and 100 other businesses' ads.
Writing your own ads, you kind of get stuck repeating the same message. Different words, but the same perspective.
Before introducing Easy Home Bidder, Bob came to Inet to brand his brainchild, MLS Listing Backed by Auction. It's brilliant. MLS guarantees the home is found. Auction guarantees the highest sale price. Period.
Inet branded it, wrote our story, knocked our marketing out of the park. When you think of selling your home, you know MLS and auction together is the right choice.
Redefined also benefits from unparalleled radio buying power, industry influence, and extracurricular enhancement of being part of the Inet community. More than 1,000 businesses working together for each other's successes.
Websites, branding, design, video, and radio. Inet is improving the economy one business at a time.
InetDishWeb.com.
CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
Buyers, sellers, real estate for winners. RedefinedRealty.com.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go.
Hey, it's Jerry Bott. You know that feeling you get when you realize you're dealing with a company that cares about you, not just as a customer, but as a person? That's the overwhelming feeling I got when I bought my vehicle at Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac. The Holiday staff was attentive, patient, totally engaged, and they listened. That inspires confidence, and confidence inspires trust.
Connect with Holiday's summer road trip sale. Score enticing offers and get more for your trade on a new Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC.
Oh, we are all looking for adventure.
Come be our guest. Take a test drive and get ready to travel the road ahead. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday.
Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be free, meant to be free.
Holiday Automotive, Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com.
It's worth the trip.
When it comes to selling a home, it can be hard to know who you can trust. I'm Tom Detwich with Grandview Homes. We've spent 15 years helping families move forward with integrity at the heart of everything we do. After all, this isn't just a house we're talking about. It's where memories were made and irreplaceable moments occurred. Our reputation is built on doing what we promise. No surprises, just an honest offer to buy your home. Get your no-obligation offer at grandviewhomes.com today. grandviewhomes.com.
I'm Kelly Lammert at Clean Living Environments. Exhausted today because last night was sweaty and sleepless? Kids upstairs can't sleep unless your bedroom is freezing and you're overwhelmed by stifling humid heat just a few steps up the stairs? Clean Living Environment Clean ducts allow more cool air to make it through your vents to the farthest room from the furnace and every room in between. Clean Living Environment's AeroSeal duct sealing allows your furnace and ducts to deliver cool, refreshing air as your HVAC system was designed. The engineer didn't account for loosely fitted pipes snaking from the furnace through walls to vents or loosely boxed off stud spaces and right angle returns forcing air out of ducts. Literally tonnage of cool air escaping into the basement, walls, and attic before reaching intended rooms. Dank basement air sucked into gaps and distributed throughout the house results in dust, musty smells, less cooled air to parts of the house, and larger energy bills. Upgrading summer is cool. Get more out of your ducts. CleanLivingEnvironments.com. That's cleanlivingenvironments.com.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx are compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Injured? Call Gruber Law. One call, that's all.
iHeart's Yacht Rock Radio goes commercial free every weekend. Enjoy the greatest 70s and 80s smooth soft rock all weekend. All commercial free. High tide, low tide, no tide. Yacht Rock Radio works anywhere. Open the free iHeartRadio app, search Yacht Rock, and make it a preset now.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN. Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Hulk Hogan passed away today at the age of 71. To say that he was a cultural icon for Generation X, I think, mostly, although he, like Ozzy Osbourne, sort of transcended time as he reinvented himself later in life as a reality TV show star. Some bizarre symmetry in life that the Osbournes, which led directly to Hogan Knows Best on HBO, that followed Hulk Hogan, his former wife, Linda, their daughter, their son. Obviously, the Hulkster got in some trouble when there was leaked audio of him screaming about one of his daughter's boyfriends. He used the N-word so many times it would make even Michael Richards from Seinfeld blush. The man was not always the best human being. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. He was sort of like Michael Jordan in the sense that he existed. He was at his zenith at a time before we knew everything there is to know about celebrities' private lives via social media and TMZ and the like. His ability, though, to elevate the spectacle of professional wrestling, which was popular. Look, don't get me wrong. I believe it was Classy Freddie Blassie who was credited in the 1950s with selling more TVs. No, I'm sorry. That was Gorgeous George. Gorgeous George was a bad guy wrestler in the 1950s. And so many people wanted to see him lose when they started to televise wrestling matches that they would actually buy TVs in the hopes that they would see this jerk get his comeuppance. So I'm not going to say that Hulk Hogan was the first real mainstream pro wrestling superstar, but he elevated it to a level that it had never seen before, fusing rock and roll music and sort of this big, outlandish, cartoonish spectacle with a tradition, a form of sports entertainment that had been around for more than a century. Hulk Hogan elevated it to levels that it had never seen before and quite possibly never will again. The 1980s rock and wrestling era was, the guy was starring in movies, television shows like Thunder in Paradise, which I remember watching as a kid. It was terrible. He had a cartoon, Hulk Hogan and like the Wrestling Super Friends or something like that. Video games, the works. Hogan behind the scenes, though, as the biggest star in the WWF, would refuse to be booked to lose. Obviously, everybody knows the outcomes of these matches are staged. It's a storyline. It's known as the beefy ballet. It's a soap opera for sweaty dudes, is what pro wrestling is. He would refuse to put over, meaning to lose to. If you pinned Hulk Hogan, you were seen as the up-and-coming next guy, right? Macho Man Randy Savage hated Hogan because Hogan refused to give him that push. WWF, as Hogan was getting into his late 30s, early 40s, wanted to replace him with the Ultimate Warrior. Hogan refused to lose to him. In fact, from 1984 until 1991, supposedly Hogan was only pinned clean or lost clean, not with like the referee missing an illegal shot with a steel chair to the head, 4 times in like 9 years. The guy just refused to work with younger talent. In fact, in one very famous exchange, he was told that he was going to have to lose to, I think it was Bret the Hitman Hart. And he said flat out, "That's not going to work for me, brother." He was notorious for no selling opponents' big finishing moves, which is considered a cardinal sin in wrestling. People don't believe that I have not watched professional wrestling in probably 25 to 30 years. My brother and I got a free trial of, was it Peacock that it was on, WrestleMania? So we watched WrestleMania because what the hell? Why not? It was a random Sunday night. My brother and I are watching WrestleMania like we're kids again. I when I was a kid, I was sort of a nerdy kid who would study just everything. I was fascinated. In hindsight, it was pretty obvious all along that I had undiagnosed ADHD because I would get obsessed with UFOs. I would get obsessed with ghosts. I would get obsessed with wrestling, whatever. Hogan never wanted to put over or help young talent, which is why I think it is so poignant that yesterday, the day before he died, his last full day on planet Earth, he was in New York. And someone came up to him, I believe it was a TMZ reporter, somebody. This was just posted a couple of hours ago by the UK Daily Mail. And he was asked about what it was he was doing. The reporter, whoever it was, said, "Oh, man, you're very busy right now. Your Real American beer is killing it. It's doing well. I guess it's selling like gangbusters. And it's only going to go up from here, brother," with his death. But Hulk really wanted to talk about Flow Wrestling. It's a venture that he started. I looked it up. It is to launch the professional wrestling careers, not pro wrestling like the, flying elbow off the top turnbuckle, but freestyle Olympic style wrestling professionally to elevate the sport and to help out younger wrestlers. Something that a younger Hulk Hogan never wanted to do, but on his very last day on Earth was so excited that he was getting a chance to.
Is there going to be gimmicks with this wrestling?
No, there's not, bro. We're giving these amateur wrestlers, the NCAA champions, the gold medalists, all these elite athletes that have done this their whole life.
Sure.
We're giving them an opportunity to continue on with their dream, basically, because now we can pay these athletes, so that's why we're calling it Real American Freestyle, but it's Real American Professional Freestyle. So Hulk Hogan would say, "Welcome to the black and blue of professional freestyle wrestling, brother." Yeah. But the thing is, we're attracting all kind of athletes. We've signed a whole bunch of people, which I can't say yet.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, our first event is August 30th in Cleveland, and it's a monster, brother.
Finally, at long last, Hulk Hogan put over young talent. There's something poetic, I think, about that. We'll be right back.
The next generation is here. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
Eastbound 94 heavy from 92nd to 27th. Westbound from 16th over to Hawley. 43 southbound. You're going to be jammed all the way in from Keefe, 20 minutes from Brown Deer. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Stay connected when it matters most. Be prepared with Rapid Radio's walkie-talkies. With instant push-to-talk and LTE nationwide coverage, you can reach family and friends in any emergency. 100% private, no contracts, no hassle.
Stay safe. Order now at rapidradios.com.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
Hey, it's your favorite car dealer, Honest Eddie. Is it true that there are no employees at Hasselus Mattress?
It's true. Give the mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy. And through Monday, get additional instant savings of $248 off Sealy Posturepedic and Beauty Rest.
Son, you gotta pressure people. Like, what do I have to do to get you into a new mattress today?
Uh-oh, you're breaking up. Gotta go.
Wait, no, let me talk to my manager.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
You've got an app for music, an app for photos, maybe even one that helps you sleep. But only one app puts the live radio dial in your pocket and lets you save your favorite stations, playlists, and podcasts as presets. Get the free iHeartRadio app, the #1 app for radio.
Imagine your home totally organized.
At Closets by Design, we specialize in providing affordable, custom-built storage solutions with built-ins and beyond. From walk-in closets to new laundry rooms and pantries, our experienced designers work within your budget to design a solution fit perfectly to your needs. Get 40% off plus an additional 15% with 18-month financing. Visit closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to get started. Let's get organized together.
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson. The Falls and New Berlin. Additives, chemicals, and toxins in your diet can miswire the way your genes express themselves. Food is critical for health. Increased energy, better sleep, reversing chronic disease. A healthier, happier, pain-free you is simple. Schedule your free Total Health consult. Holistic health coaches will guide you to a healthier, happier, truly you. Seed oils, the #1 source of calories in American diets, were developed as fuel in industrial lubricants. Seed oils cause dozens of chronic illnesses. Big Healthcare's solution to nutritional-related illness is their same solution to all health-related problems. Drugs that also alter the way your genes express themselves, leaving root causes, making you increasingly sick over time. What they never tell is eliminate seed oils from your diet and cutting back on sugar will immediately improve your health. It's true. Total Health finds root causes of sickness, including nutritional deficiencies, then helps you, the whole complete you, achieve wellness. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution. TotalHealthInc.com. That's TotalHealthInc.com.
Homeowners across Wisconsin trust WeatherPro Exteriors for the best in roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Voted Milwaukee's 2024 top choice. We are proud to deliver the highest quality and service. Right now, get $1,000 off a full roof replacement, plus a $200 Quick Trip gift card. Your home is your biggest investment. Make sure it's protected with top quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors built to last. Visit WeatherProExteriors.com today.
Catering to all who appreciate quality installation, a great value, and the finest windows and doors. Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Find us at LisbonStorm.com.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Your home cleaning friend. It's Edelman again. Edelman.
We all remember that one teacher who made a difference, who believed in us, challenged us, made learning fun. Now's your chance to say thank you in a big way. iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. Celebrating the incredible impact of public school educators. Nominate an outstanding teacher in your life who's gone above and beyond for their students to be among the winners of $5,000 to stock their classroom. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future. Get all the info and nominate a teacher who goes the extra mile today at iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
There's only one store that gives you every possible choice in diamonds.
Welcome to Kessler's.
WISN. Big taxers, big spenders, political cronies, global warming alarmists, charlatans, liars, scam artists, and feeders at the public trough. The threats to your happiness are many, but that's where we can help. News Talk 1130 WISN. Our truth shall keep you free.
Intelligent discourse, irreverent fun here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. Do you remember a story we broke on the April 1st election, on election day at UW-Eau Claire, where the college Republicans there set up a table for Brad Schimmel, the conservative candidate for justice, and they were going to encourage people to vote. It was right outside within it was lawfully placed outside of a voting location on campus, meaning it was 150 feet or whatever it has to be away from the entrance. A professor by the name of Jose Felipe Alvergue shows up and, like Jesus in the temple, flips over the table, screaming, "This is a house of liberalism." No, he didn't do that, and it was nothing like my man JC. He Karened out, flipped over the table, made a complete ass of himself. The aftermath of what he did was caught on video. We posted it, broke the story, and wondered whether or not Professor Alvergue would ever face any sort of disciplinary measure for his outburst. You know damned well if a conservative professor did something like that, they would be out of a job instantly. It would be a massive scandal about the fascist right trying to suppress the free speech and access to the ballot box of poor liberal students at UW-Eau Claire. He was chair of the English department. We had great fun on the election day broadcast, making fun of Professor Alvergue and all of his works. Standard issue liberal tripe. He was removed a couple of days later as the chairman of the English department. There were disciplinary proceedings initiated against him. Well, today, according to records released to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, he has agreed to take an unpaid suspension for the 2025-2026 academic year. In Alvergue's, this from jsonline.com, first public interview since the incident, he expressed remorse and said he is now working a full-time minimum wage job to offset his loss of income. Now, look, I am not going to laugh at somebody getting exactly what was coming to them. Okay, I might laugh at that, but, I don't want to, laugh at somebody else's misfortune, even though it was completely and totally deserved. This is what the kids call a self-own by the good professor. Does this not prove that some of these college majors are completely worthless? And doesn't it also prove that outside of the university setting, these people have absolutely no marketable skills? He was the chair of the English department at a very good university. He could only get a minimum wage job. Alvergue said he felt restricted by a new policy that took effect in the wake of weeks-long campus protests over the Israel-Hamas war. The policy requires UW institutions and officials, including department chairs, to maintain neutral viewpoints when referencing any political or social controversy. As a low-level administrator, I was in a situation of being position neutral, he told the Journal-Sentinel. I wasn't fully honoring that. I'm a human being, and that I was starting to have pretty intense feelings about things, and regretfully, I didn't examine those feelings or their intensity until I did something that I really regret doing. Overturning the tip. You know what this reminds me of? You remember in the movie Forrest Gump, where Jenny's abusive boyfriend punches her? And he says, Jenny, it's this war and that lying son of a bitch Johnson. That's what this sounds like. Oh, it's just my stress over the Israel-Hamas war. That's why I overturned a Republican table with little pins that say, vote for Brad Schimmel. It goes on. This gets even better. Alvergue, who joined UW-Eau Claire in 2013, said he was feeling overwhelmed by the election and Elon Musk's attempts to sway Wisconsin voters with $1 million check. As the child of immigrants, he said he was also distressed by the Trump administration's mass deportations. I still care about things, he said, but that doesn't mean I get to go out and knock tables over. Unsung Hero of the Day brought to you by Blue Line Cleaning Services, residential and commercial cleaning done by professionals. The unsung heroes of the day are actually the administrators at UW-Eau Claire who shockingly did the right thing. Did Professor Alvergue deserve to get fired over a moment of, insanity? Maybe. But I think this was a pretty darn good controversy. Let him eat a little crow taste humility for a year, and then come back and poison all of the minds that you want, wearing forever the scarlet letter of shame that because of the Israel-Hamas war and your stress about Elon Musk, you just had to pick on a couple of college girls setting up a table from the politicians you don't like. Your unsung heroes of the day, UW Eau Claire. I can't believe I am giving it to university administrators, but here we are. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We will be back right after the 5 o'clock news.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Listen to Clay and Buck weekdays 11 to 2 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
A meeting with the head of the Federal Reserve. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump took a tour of the construction of the headquarters of the central bank after saying the project has had cost overruns. Jerome Powell said that's not true. The president had also been critical of Powell for not lowering interest rates.
I just want to see one thing happen. Very simple. Interest rates have to come down.
But the president said he has no plans to replace Powell before his term is up.
To do that is a big move, and I just don't think it's necessary.
Powell is expected to serve through next May. The president signed a bill that would rescind close to $9 billion in federal funding previously approved by Congress for public broadcasting and foreign aid. The cuts were approved by the Senate and the House earlier this month. U.S. negotiators are cutting off talks aimed at reaching a ceasefire in Gaza.
The U.S. team negotiating in Doha is heading home early. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says the latest response from Hamas clearly shows a lack of desire to reach a ceasefire in Gaza. And Hamas, he says, is not acting in good faith. Witkoff now says the Trump administration will consider alternative options to bring hostages home and create a more stable environment for the people of Gaza. In a statement, he says Hamas has acted in a selfish way. A U.S.-backed plan called for a 60-day ceasefire for the release of at least 10 living hostages from Gaza and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners in Israel freed.
Fox's Jared Halpert at the White House. French President Emmanuel Macron says France will recognize Palestine as a state. Macron posting on X, he will formalize the decision at the United Nations General Assembly in September. The move coming as global outrage grows over people starving in Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the move, saying it rewards terror and risks creating another Iranian proxy. Wall Street today lost 316 and NASDAQ plus 37, adding to its record. America is listening to Fox News.
Scattered showers and storms today with hot and humid conditions once again. Expect air temperatures in the 80s, dew points in the mid-70s, and heat indices in the mid to upper 90s at times. Cooler on Friday, then the heat returns over the weekend. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you across the greater Milwaukee area. Start your repair right now at mandercollision.com. Mander truly is the best decision after a collision.
Hi, I'm Willa Voss. I'm 8 years old. Mom and Dad own Cut and Go Tree Service. Yes, they did name me after a tree. Our family loves this country and the freedom it provides. Every morning, I look forward to starting the school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say it along with me, even if you just say it in your mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. American patriots will enjoy a 5% discount for flying the American flag and mentioning this commercial when the Cut and Go remote control, automobile mounted, articulated crane, grapple saw operators are putting your dead trees on the ground or removing large branches that grew over something important. An all-American Tons of Trees movement, cutandgotrees.com. That's CUTNGOTREES.com.
After joining the United States Army, Thomas Kennedy served 2 tours of duty in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. But sadly, this soldier's life was tragically cut short. Thomas was killed by a Taliban suicide bomber in Afghanistan. He left behind his wife Cammie and their beautiful twins, Maggie and Brody. Tunnel to Towers provided the Kennedy family with a mortgage-free home. Families like the Kennedys need your help. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com. Listen to Clay and Buck weekdays 11 to 2 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee.
The iHeartRadio app now has preset buttons, just like your car radio. Now make sure one of those preset buttons is set to News Talk 1130 WISN. Excellence is just one click away on the preset buttons of the iHeartRadio app. Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon. This is Tom Krieger with your afternoon business report. Major averages were mixed today as investors assessed earnings from big tech giants Alphabet and Tesla. Shares of Alphabet edged higher after the Google parent company posted better than expected second quarter results, beating estimates on earnings and revenue. Meanwhile, shares of Tesla fell 8% after the electric vehicle maker missed expectations on both top and bottom lines. Tesla earned an adjusted 40 cents per share on $22.5 billion in revenue, missing estimates of 43 cents and $22.7 billion. At the close, the Dow is down 316, S&P 500 up 4, and the NASDAQ up 37. From Creative Planning, I'm Tom Krieger.
I am a real American. Fight for
Hulk Hogan arrived. Hulk. What is he doing? God. Is he the third man? He's the third man. Look at this. He's I don't believe it. The leg drop. Hogan got the leg drop. The referee's there. There's a pin.
Some incredible moments from the incredible career of Hulk Hogan, real name Terry Bollea, who passed away today at the age of 71 of sudden cardiac arrest, it is being called. He had a massive heart attack and died at his home in Florida. He gave an interview just yesterday. He was touring the country promoting his Real American Beer as well as a new wrestling league that he is trying to get off the ground. And he leaves behind a legacy as, I think, easily the most important professional wrestler in the history of the, I keep wanting to say sport. You know what? I'm going to go with sport. Pseudo sport. You don't have The Rock. You don't have John Cena, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, any of those guys, Roman Reigns, or Cody Rhodes today without Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan made professional wrestling what it was. He transcended the sport in a way that Ozzy Osbourne, who also passed away this week, transcended music. Sort of an impolite joke this week from a political operative who texted me and shall remain nameless, but it is true. Between Ozzy, Theo Huxtable, and now Hulk Hogan, the 80s were decimated this week. The actor who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, Malcolm Jamal Warner, passed away. He accidentally drowned on vacation. He was out swimming with his 8-year-old daughter, who was fortunately rescued, but he drowned. And Ozzy Osbourne passed away of undisclosed causes. Right now, he's battling for a long time Parkinson's disease. And now Hulk Hogan, they say these things come in threes. Also, Chuck Mangione passed away today, the musician. Sort of overshadowed by Hulk Hogan's death. This reminds me of when Farrah Fawcett died back in 2009. the world was, oh my gosh, Farrah Fawcett died. And then do you remember who died later in the day? Everybody forgets these two celebrities died on the same day back in 2009. It was, I think, June 26th. I remember this because I was broadcasting live at Summerfest. Michael Jackson died later in the day. And I remember exactly where I was. I was reporting live during another afternoon show that competes directly with this one. I was the news guy. I was out in the field. Every time I would say, we can now confirm that Michael Jackson, the king of pop, has died at the age of 50. You could see people walking past on the Summerfest grounds, just shocked. They would look back, and I would make eye contact with them and be like, yeah, he did. They were like, oh my God. You could just see the reaction from people. And there are few icons, I think, that sort of elicit that response. We happen to lose two of them within the span of 2 days in Aussie. And this is nothing against Malcolm Jamal Warner, but he never really had much of a career after the Cosby Show. I'm sure he went on to do other work, but that was obviously the pinnacle of it. Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan were just two transcendent figures, both with complicated legacies. Ozzy, I think, did every drug known to man. He was an avowed Christian. People don't quite believe that about a guy who most surmise worshipped the devil. He most certainly did not. Hulk Hogan obviously had the racism controversies, screaming the N-word about his daughter's boyfriend, and was sort of well known as kind of a jerk behind the scenes in wrestling. He appears to have mellowed out a bit with age. But ultimately, I think you have to separate the work of a man from who he is personally. I mean, there are stories about it. When I was growing up, by far, the most popular athlete was, of course, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a philandering gambler who drank a ton and almost certainly bet on his own team, leading to a suspension where the world was told he went to go play baseball. Same thing with Tiger Woods when I was a little bit older. Biggest athlete in the world when Jordan retired. Tiger Woods was stunningly good. Weirdly enough, do you know that during this past 4-year stretch for Scottie Scheffler, he has won just as many tournaments, just as many majors, and just as many players' championships as Tiger Woods did in a 4-year stretch between 2002 and 2005. Now, Woods also had an additional 11 or 12 majors that Scheffler would have to get to, but Scheffler is having a Tiger-esque run. We know after that incident right after Thanksgiving in 2007, 2008, where Tiger's then wife attacked his car with a 5-iron, causing it to crash. And then all of the stories about Tiger Woods's infidelity surfaced. He's now dating a Trump niece, I believe. He's dating a member of the Trump family, which is sort of random worlds colliding. Although it was sort of an open secret in golf forever that Tiger Woods was a hardcore conservative Republican, like most of the PGA Tour. The two most conservative sports on earth could not possibly be more diametrically opposed: golf and UFC fighting. Those, like, everybody involved in those two sports is a conservative Republican. All right, 5 o'clock word in the sizzling summer cash contest. Check, C-H-E-C-K, check. You've got until 55 past the hour to go to our website and enter the keyword check to enter the contest for this hour. If your entry is picked at random, we send you a check. Or maybe a money order. I'm not actually sure what we send you. Maybe we just Venmo you $1,000. Somehow we get you the money just for listening to us. Ultimately, what is Tony Evers' legacy? As governor, the goal is to leave the state in a better position than you inherited. Can anyone say in any facet of public life Evers succeeded? Crime exploded during his tenure. It was made possible in part by his campaign pledge, which he did fulfill during COVID, of opening up the jailhouse doors. reducing Wisconsin's prison population by half. That was an actual campaign promise in 2018. He tried to deny ever saying it, but of course he did. Then COVID happened, and we were letting people out of prison and then refusing to prosecute crimes, all under Evers' watch. Crime, of course, increased exponentially. It spiraled out of control, 2020 to about 2023. In 2018, the year before Evers took office, there were 176 murders and 2,300 rapes. In 2021, after 3 years of Tony Evers' policies, the number of murders increased by 82% to 321. And there was a 2% increase in rapes to 2,300. Aggravated assaults up 15%. And an astronomical 111% rise in car thefts. Now, what did Evers attribute this massive spike in crime to? He actually said, people are going stir crazy because they can't leave their houses.
Rising crime is an issue across the country, of course. I think as a result of the pandemic, we've seen lots of bad behavior as a result. People get kind of stir crazy.
Stir crazy. Crime didn't increase until after the state Supreme Court struck down Governor Evers' unconstitutional safer at home order. Once people were let out onto the streets, that was immediately followed by the death of George Floyd. And as we learned last hour, were reminded last hour, Governor Evers was literally out there fanning the flames of Kenosha with his inflamed rhetoric. Crime was out of control. It's come back to normal somewhat, almost in spite of city of Milwaukee and state of Wisconsin policy. But the education system has not. Evers fashioned himself the education governor. He must have said it as often as I say conservative thought, not just talk. It's sort of his tagline, right? It's if Hulk Hogan said, let Hulkamania run wild on you, Tony Evers said, I'm the education governor. Wisconsin is now the worst state in the nation at educating Black fourth graders. That is an abomination. An abomination. You heard Congressman Tom Tiffany blasting that, saying, we are now worse than Mississippi. Mississippi took great strides in improving its education system, even though we spend tons more money per student and in total than Mississippi does on its K-12 students. They have far greater results. And it's not as though Governor Evers didn't try to just dump billions and billions and billions of dollars, throwing money at a problem that isn't fixable by just money alone. Remember the 400-year veto, making Wisconsin a national laughingstock, so grossly abusing the partial veto power for a state budget that he changed the 2024-2025 in the Republicans' budget to 24-25, saying we're going to increase property taxes and fund education for 400 years until the year 24-25. Supreme Court rather laughably upheld that ridiculous veto earlier this year. But for Governor Evers' signature issue to result in such shoddy performance by the state school system, that to me is the ultimate referendum on his success as a governor. Truly, what can you point to as the greatest success of Evers' tenure? Look back through history, recent history. Governor Scott Walker, what was his greatest triumph? That's easy, Act 10. collective bargaining reform, turning a massive structural deficit into a surplus by making public employees pay just a little bit more towards their own retirement and healthcare benefits. He weathered the massive leftist storm and made himself into a presidential contender. By the way, Walker did tweet out a picture of a red hat that says, "Make Wisconsin Great Again, 45-47. Now, everybody knows that Donald Trump is the 45th and 47th president. Would you believe that if Scott Walker were to be elected governor next year, he would be the 45th and 47th governor of the state of Wisconsin? So this has led to wild speculation that Scott is going to jump into the race. My guess, he had the hat and he's trolling everybody. I have not heard Walker, a member of his family, or anybody in his orbit say anything other than he's incredibly happy to be doing what he's doing as president of the Young America's Foundation. I mean, he's making a ton of money because he's bringing in just tons of money to that organization. He's taken it to new heights. He's done a great job as president. I don't think he has any interest in coming back, especially in what's likely to be a big Democrat year. But if you take a look at Tommy Thompson, what's his signature achievement as governor of Wisconsin? School choice, right? First in the nation. What's Evers' signature achievement? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. I would love, can't imagine his spokesperson, Britt Cuddeback, not exactly my best friend right now, after I did report a week and a day ago, look, everybody is telling me Evers is not going to run again. He's decided, and the announcement is going to come within 24 to 48 hours, meaning Thursday or Friday of last week. I am reporting today that they absolutely did change that because Cuddeback was so pissed off by the fact that I reported it and then responded to her tweet saying I was wrong in only the snarkiest of snarky tweets that really set them off. They're also scrambling to figure out who it is that I've been talking to, which I would be worried about too. That said, if anybody from Team Evers, and if you notice over the last, 5 hours since the announcement was made, has anybody been celebrating the great accomplishments of Tony Evers? What would be his signature accomplishment, truly? Nothing comes to mind. The safer at home order, shutting down. I'm sure he'll point to his leadership during COVID. Do you remember, though, when he unconstitutionally kept issuing new emergency declarations, public health emergencies, just so he could continue the mask mandate without having to go to the state legislature? That was about as close to tyrannical behavior as we've ever had by a governor. What about literally recording Robin Vos and Scott Fitzgerald back when Scott was the leader of the state Senate during a meeting with the governor on COVID management, recording them so that he could leak to the media things that they say? Sure enough, Patrick Marley and Molly Beck wrote a story in the Journal Sentinel about Robin Vos using language that could be considered racially insensitive. It was like Woodward and Bernstein were working directly for Richard Nixon. That scandal disappeared quick because 2 Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reporters were deep into it. I was calling them out routinely. Weber, Belling, Vicky, I'm sure Jeff Wagner was calling them, but nobody else. The rest of the media just kind of rallied around. This is serious stuff. This is Nixonian. But the COVID emergency declarations, that was way worse. He was pretending there's a new COVID emergency every 2 months when the old emergency declaration would expire so that he could usurp the proper role of the legislature and give himself more power, something that we saw also with the 400-year veto. I mean, this guy passed himself off for 8 years as, benign Uncle Tony. And I'm sure, as we joked forever about the real governor, Maggie Gao, actually running things, a lot of his power was ceded to her and the nameless, faceless cabal of 30 and 40-something they-thems who are actually making the decisions, much like the 30 and 40-something they-thems in the Biden White House were actually making decisions for the senile old man. But we had radical governance that constantly teetered towards autocratic. All the while, these people here in the States screaming about Donald Trump being an authoritarian. I think ultimately the legacy of Tony Evers is as the least likely tyrant, given his physical stature, in the history of American governors. We'll be right back.
Bob here for Redefine Realty, powered by EasyHomeBidder.com.
Brian here. I was in the market to buy my first home. I rushed to see houses the day they went live on MLS. Made offers on 5 houses before finally getting the 6th accepted. I would have increased my bid on all 5 of the other houses I didn't get, but never got the chance.
Brian's story is tragic for Brian, but also for sellers. Brian would have paid more for each of the 5 houses he didn't get. That's 5 sellers guided by traditional MLS agents who sold their home for less than they could have. Redefined Realty, powered by EasyHomeBidder.com's auction platform and MLS, would have earned all 5 Wisconsin area home sellers more money. A lot more money. Selling a fixer-upper, a duplex, a condo, a $400,000 home, or a multi-million-dollar home. When buyers bid, sellers win. In fact, when buyers bid, buyers win too. Heck, everybody wins at Redefine Realty and EasyHomeBidder.com. Buyers win, sellers win. Obvious, but revolutionary. When buyers win, sellers win. It's real estate for winners. RedefineRealty.com.
If something happens to you, what happens to your family? Will they struggle financially? Will they be able to afford the home you built together? With Ethos, you can get life insurance coverage in minutes. Get up to $2 million in coverage for as little as $2 a day. All online with no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions. Get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy. Rates may vary. Billed monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Westbound on 94. Stop and go from 27 to Mitchell Boulevard, then Highway 100 to Moreland. 15 minutes from the Marquette. And you got to crash off to the left shoulder at Highway F in Waukesha County. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by First Choice Heating and Cooling. Prices are up, but your comfort doesn't have to wait. At First Choice Heating and Cooling, pay $0 now and 0 interest for 12 months. Lock in today's price and stay cool all summer. Milwaukee's heat's no joke. Call First Choice now.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in Vegas.
T-Mobile Arena.
September 19th and 20th, streaming live only on Hulu. 15 artists, 2 nights, 1 stage. Get tickets now at AXS.com.
Lenovo and the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Tech that hits different. Can your gear keep up with the beat? Lenovo PCs are built for creators, dreamers, and fans who don't hit pause. Visit Lenovo.com for the latest in AI PCs and game-changing tech.
People should be judged for the content of their character, not the straightness of their teeth.
I'm Mila. The gracious, caring staff at Ross Dental makes straight teeth convenient.
Bo, Mila's big brother here. High school social pressure can make students want to be invisible. Ross Dental straight teeth are confidence building.
With Ross Dental straight teeth, you and your children will smile like you just don't care because you don't.
Dr. Ross did imaging and ordered virtually invisible plastic trays that fit over our teeth, shifting them ever so slightly.
Every 5 days or so, we start new trays that shift teeth a little more.
Unlike conventional braces, we can take the trays off to eat and brush our teeth, and they cost less.
A bonus for me is clicking and my jaw stopped.
Dr. Ross is a great dentist, and Dad says Ross Dental is the best deal.
Family dentistry, cosmetic whitening, Ross Dental straight smiles, and full sedation dentistry. For anxious patients needing substantial restoration. Our mission, your comfort, health, and confidence. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalWI.com.
for safe, purified water right from your faucet. The solution is crystal clear.
Any project, big or small, when it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK, pump and plumbing.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
What happened last week when they took a shot at my hero? And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
That the Hulkster ripping off his shirt to reveal a MAGA one underneath at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee last year. I was probably 20 feet from Hogan, chilling with the Wisconsin delegation on the floor. The room was electric. Perhaps second only to when Trump showed up on the first night of the convention with the bandage over his ear. Remember, just 2 days after being shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. I've never heard a crowd go that insane as when Trump walked out there. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. I mean, the crowd was just going crazy. But when Hulk Hogan gave his speech, it was almost as electric. That place was rocking. Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. A number of people reminding me of Governor Evers' utter failure on unemployment insurance during COVID-19. Now, this was the guy who ordered pretty much every business shut down on, of all days, St. Patrick's Day 2020. And then couldn't get the state's website working. In the earliest days of COVID, people were totally dependent on the government for a paycheck. More than 99% of all phone calls to Wisconsin's unemployment office were never answered. The state's website for unemployment benefit application just totally unusable. More than half of every single claim that was filed was unprocessed within 8 weeks. 2 months, people just couldn't get any money. 400,000 people in the state were suddenly unemployed or laid off or not receiving a paycheck. By August of that year, the backlog hit 800,000. People waited months to get their money. Some never did. Evers made a big show of firing the Secretary of Workforce Development, Caleb Frostman, but nothing changed. Even after the state reopened and people went back to work, 25% of claims were still unprocessed within 8 weeks in 2021. Eventually, they had to bring in Google, which cleared the backlog very quickly, proving perhaps once and for all that the private sector is far better to handle pretty much everything, better than a career bureaucrat functionary like Tony Evers. Another big failure, how about the VA in Union Grove? Not a lot of people remember this. The most basic duty of government is protecting citizens from harm, right? Do you remember the pill mill at the VA? On Evers' watch, the Union Grove VA became one of the most troubled state-run veterans homes in the entire country. Top 5 out of 117 facilities for having the most violations and fines. Failing to keep residents hydrated, not investigating patient abuse, infection control issues, medication mistakes, poor food, not doing enough to keep residents from falling. Residents and family members saying care has declined as leadership frequently changed and the home struggles with chronic understaffing. My goodness. 6 months after the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel brought those revelations to light, Evers didn't do anything. Didn't demand resignations, didn't demand any semblance of accountability. And that was a pattern. Do you know how many people were fired after it was revealed that he was secretly taping Robin Voss and Scott Fitzgerald? 0. Nobody was fired. Nobody was disciplined when pretty much every HR standard in America was violated, when his spokesperson was promoted by her girlfriend, the chief of staff, Maggie Gao. How about this one? Do you remember the discretionary paroles that Evers would sign off on? Do you remember in, I think it was 2022, there was one particularly heinous murder. The killer was paroled just 25 years into an 80-year sentence. Even though the judge in that case, who happened to be Diane Sykes, the retiring Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals judge, she said, do not let this guy out. Future governors looking to parole the guy, do not let him out. He is always going to be a danger. Evers let him out anyway. Once again, Evers demands the resignation of John Tate. So there was a big show, but the paroles kept coming. On the same day, Evers publicly intervened to stop that killer's parole. Another walked out of prison following a discretionary parole earlier in the year. 4 days later, parole commission under Evers granted parole to a rapist who kidnapped and assaulted a UW Eau Claire student at knife point. In 2022, Evers Parole Commission averaged 2 releases per week. The Parole Commission freed a man who shot 2 men to death at a YMCA in Green Bay, never bothered to tell their families that the dude was getting released. Victim's sister said she was notified of a parole hearing and sent a letter objecting to the release, but was never informed parole was granted. Wisconsin's prison population hasn't declined by half. It was at 23,000 when Evers first took office, but it's declined significantly, largely through parole and a refusal to prosecute dangerous criminals. That, I think, ultimately is Evers' legacy on every conceivable issue: crime, accountability, unemployment benefits, managing the biggest public health emergency of our lifetimes. He failed. He just was not up to the task. And that's why I think Republicans are going to have something of an opportunity here. Because even though Democrats do have an institutional advantage, they do. Look no further than the last 2 statewide state Supreme Court races. Look no further than the last gubernatorial election, the last U.S. Senate election. Democrats have won. They've been on a winning streak here for about a decade. But because Evers is personally popular, but the Democratic Party brand is not, and because so many people, I think, recognize the failures of Tony Evers, I actually think we're going to have an opportunity to win back this seat next year. I will explain how when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns in just 5 minutes.
Now, here's Here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Westbound on 94, stop and go from 27 to Mitchell Boulevard, then Highway 100 to Moreland, 15 minutes from the Marquette, and you got a crash off to the left shoulder at Highway F in Waukesha County. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by First Choice Heating and Cooling. Prices are up, but your comfort doesn't have to wait. At First Choice Heating and Cooling, pay $0 now and 0 interest for 12 months. Lock in today's price and stay cool all summer. Milwaukee's heat's no joke. Call First Choice now.
When the temperature goes up, so do your expenses. More sunscreen, mist fans, and ice-cold adult beverages. Supplement your income by playing the nationwide Sizzlin' Summer Cash Contest 9 times each weekday. Listen for a keyword to enter at newstalk1130.com, and you could win $1,000.
That would buy a lot of cheese curds at the county fair.
The Sizzlin' Summer Cash Contest is presented by the friendly experts at Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac. With 1,300 vehicles in one place, it's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
You got to get to Built Right today. Dan O'Donnell here for my longtime friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. It's the best time to refresh your home locally. Built Right's Made in America celebration plus $1 million clearance sell-off continues for a limited time. Shop where the O'Donnell family shops. We absolutely love our new Amish-made dining set. 4 generations, 97 years strong. Built Right has the most experienced team and the best selection of affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses in Wisconsin. Built Right's 45,000 square foot showroom has thousands of items in stock, plus 500 mattresses. You'll find hard to find USA-made, small-scale, Amish-made, real solid wood furniture, flippable mattresses, and more. Free in-store design services too. Built Right always saves you money. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Are you on track to achieve your retirement plans? Hi, I'm Jeff Kowal of Kowal Investment Group. We've recently joined Creative Planning, a national registered investment advisor. This move to Creative expands our ability to provide comprehensive wealth management, investment advisory, and retirement planning services. Now is the time to put your lifetime of hard work into action. For over 37 years, we've helped clients toward making their retirement dreams become a reality, and we'd like to help you too. And the best part, your plan will be completely tailored to you. Our in-house team of specialists will take the time to learn about you and your family, review your current situation, and find out what your goals are. Then we'll design a plan to help you get there. To get started, request your free meeting today with one of our fiduciary advisors by visiting creativeplanning.com. Whether you have met with us in the past or this will be your first meeting with us, we're excited to introduce Kowal Investment Group to you as Creative Planning. Visit creativeplanning.com today.
Hi, it's Jay. Let's talk about the roof on your home. A lot of you will need to replace your roof this summer, but be forewarned, there are roofing companies out there that skip over the most important part of the process, the attic ventilation. If your attic doesn't have proper air circulation, it can cause problems like mold and wood rot, leaks in the winter, not to mention higher AC bills in the summer. This is one of the reasons I recommend Semperfi Roofing to my listeners. Their process begins with a free 21-point roof inspection that includes a thorough inspection of your attic. They know that if the ventilation isn't right, the roof will be built on a shaky foundation. Every Semperfi roof comes with a well-thought-out attic ventilation plan, and that's why they can offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. Money-saving discounts and financing incentives are available. Call for your free 21-point roof inspection and estimate today, 262-600-2910, or book an appointment online at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Welcome back to Ask Hassles. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Hey, this is Honest Eddie from the car lot down the street.
Hi, Honest Eddie.
Is it true your showrooms don't have any employees?
That's right. Hassleless mattress showrooms are employee-free.
Now, don't you be dishonest with Honest Eddie.
It's true. Give the mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy. And through Monday, get additional instant savings of $248 off Sealy Posturepedic and Beauty Rest.
Son, to make it in sales, you gotta pressure people. Like, what's your budget? it. Or, I know it's the most expensive model, but trust me, it's the right one for you. And what's it going to take to get you into a Sealy Posturepedic or Beauty Rest today?
But that's hassling customers.
Yeah, so?
Our store is called Hassle Less Mattress.
Just change the name. How about Wacky Westerns?
Uh-oh, you're breaking up. Gotta go.
Wait, no, let me talk to my manager.
Hassle-less mattress, 100% Eddie free. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleless.com.
Injured? Call Gruber Law. One call, that's all.
iHeart's Yacht Rock Radio goes commercial-free every weekend. Enjoy the greatest 70s and 80s smooth soft rock all weekend. All commercial-free. High tide, low tide, no tide. Yacht Rock Radio works anywhere. Open the free iHeartRadio app, search Yacht Rock, and make it a preset now.
Show summaries, podcasts, political tidbits, and the hottest photo galleries in radio. All available to you whenever you demand them at newstalk1130.com.
All right, Tony Evers is out. 2 Republicans are in, Bill Berrien and Josh Showman. One sure sounds like he's going to jump in, Tom Tiffany. He was a guest on the Dan O'Donnell show earlier this afternoon. If you didn't listen to or watch that interview, you probably should as soon as we post the podcast in about a half hour. It was pretty apparent from his answers that Tiffany is leaning very, very strongly towards jumping in the race. The reason he would have, I think, a huge advantage over both Berrien and Showman is A, name recognition, B, he's from the North Woods, C, he has proven he's able to turn out voters in the North Woods. This is where Wisconsin is going to be won or lost for Republicans in the future. We've proven that we can turn out voters. It just happens to be with Donald Trump at the top of the ticket. Now, what the Republican Party has done in its last 2 non-judicial statewide elections, in Senate in 2024 and governor in 2022, is try to recreate the Trump model. Businessman, guy who hasn't been in politics before. Of course, Hovde flirted with running for governor. He ran for governor in 2012. No, I'm sorry, he ran for Senate in 2012. He lost to Tommy Thompson, who eventually lost in a big Dem year, the Obama re-election year, to Tammy Baldwin. And a lot of people thought if Hovde would have won, he was young, he was energetic. And frankly, I personally just liked Eric Hovde a lot. I think we did an interview, full hour on the show last year where he was allowed to talk about anything and everything except politics, because I thought he's just an inspirational, cool guy. His battle with Parkinson's disease. I apologize. I'm having a brain fart right now. I believe he's battling Parkinson's disease. But it was downright inspirational. And his attitude is just so, I like the guy quite a bit. Tim Michaels, too. Very, very good candidate. I mean, I obviously pointed out all of the flaws in his campaign, which I thought was not particularly well run. MS, thank you very much. Parkinson's was Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, multiple sclerosis. Hovde was battling. Sorry, Eric. Yeah, his battle with MS is very courageous. We ran the exact same, not the exact same. The personalities are very different between the other two. It doesn't work. Bill Berrien, therefore, would sort of be seen as just kind of more of the same. With Josh Showman, he's an energetic guy. He's young, and he fits the profile of the type of candidate who typically wins when it's a big year for the opposing party. you sometimes get lightning in a bottle. Like in Florida in 2018, Ron DeSantis, who has the military background, he's been around politics for a while, but he's seen as this young, energetic, exciting figure. He won. He won in something of an upset. Now, we know that because of DeSantis's incredible leadership in Florida and just natural demographic changes, Florida has become insanely red now, second only to Texas as the biggest red state in the country. Wisconsin and Texas have gotten a whole lot of Wisconsin's conservative voters. They're retiring, they're moving down there for tax purposes, and the rather obvious big reason to move down to Florida for the weather. That's a big boon to Democrats. Where Showman kind of is going to have an issue is raising money. He's only raised $400,000 so far. His opponent, Bill Berrien, has spent $400,000 in a week. He says he's raised $1 million. I'm willing to wager most of that came from Bill Berrien. I'm not trying to play favorites or anything like that, but that's a fact. Berrien also has substantial baggage. When he's ripping on Trump to this day for Trump's handling of the COVID pandemic, that's a big problem. To me, the biggest problem is he hasn't adequately, we had him on for a full hour last week or 2 weeks ago, and he did not adequately explain why he wanted ranked choice voting in Wisconsin, which is the worst, most unconstitutional Dem vote rigging scheme I think I've seen yet. Showman's issue is one of sort of geography as well, as is Berrien's. We have long run candidates from exactly one part of the state of Wisconsin, the Milwaukee area, the Milwaukee metro. The rest of the state kind of resents Milwaukee, kind of resents the Milwaukee suburbs, is ready for someone who they feel represents them. Tiffany's weakness is, as I've said, he's kind of, as much as I like him, and as much as we were having fun during the interview, he's not exactly the most inspiring guy in the world, is he? As I said, what did I say? No more balding boomers running statewide. Don't want to be mean, but ... Tiffany, though, is very close with President Trump. That I know. Trump loves Tom Tiffany. He might be able to go into the race with the Trump endorsement, which would probably just end it right there. Look, last time we had a gubernatorial primary, the difference was Tim Michaels getting the Trump endorsement and Becky Clayfish not getting it. Could we see a wild card like Walker or Clayfish jump in? Sure, but extremely unlikely. If I had to guess right now, if Tiffany gets in, he would probably get the Trump endorsement, and that would almost end it. He would be able to raise a substantial amount of money, and I think he would be a strong candidate. The Democrats are almost certainly not going to have a bloody primary. They are going to decide very quickly, and you're going to be able to tell. And believe me, folks, I will be going overtime and reporting on what I'm hearing through back channels and through sources and whatever else about who the Democrats are going to coalesce around. But I'm telling you, folks, it is going to be very quick in the process. You are going to tell who the candidate is going to be. I don't think Republicans can risk, and I don't think we can afford another bruising primary, the likes of which we had in 2022. Looking at the clock, we have got to take a break. Have no fear, we will be back in just a second here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From from the Lynch Chevrolet of Kenosha Total Traffic Center.
15 minutes either side of 4145 between the Zoo Interchange and Good Hope. Northbound delays through Hampton, southbound through Capitol. 43 northbound up to Brown Deer, only 11 minutes, a little slow around Center. Heavy southbound from Good Hope to Silver Spring and approaching the Marquette. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by First Choice Heating and Cooling.
This heat is unbearable.
Keep your family comfortable with First Choice Heating. For a limited time, get $89 off your AC and heating tune-up. Milwaukee's trusted HVAC company, firstchoiceheating.com.
Okay, well, wait, how about this one? Look, 3 bedrooms.
What's the catch?
Well, we'd have to replace the appliances.
All right.
And the style is straight out of the 80s.
Oof.
And the roof leaks.
How about a Ready Home from Belinsky Homes? They've got brand new homes in a wide variety of designs. We get all the benefits of new construction while skipping the building process. Look, just go to Belinsky.com to see all the Ready Homes available right now.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
I'm Dan Voss from Cut and Go. Ugly and depressing and trees killed off by emerald ash, oak wilt, and Dutch elm disease are dangerous for friends and loved ones, even a potential liability. Slowly rotting, left-standing hardwood trees can weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Even seemingly smaller branches can weigh tens, even hundreds of pounds. With Cut and Go, there is no reason to risk injury or property damage. Live trees in precarious placement for an arborist to remove over homes, garages, commercial buildings, luxury landscapes are easily and safely laid on the ground by Cut and Go's NCCER crane-operated certified remote control automobile mounted articulating crane grapple saw operators. You can save big money and stock up on firewood by having Cut and Go put your trees on the ground for you to clean up or have a bonfire or split firewood, or we can take it all with us when we leave. A Tons of Trees movement. Cut and Go trees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com. Once again, that's cutandgotrees.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, they clicked on the blue button. We sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. We also let them know about Accunet's property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval did include that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with the local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win. We'll also likely save you $1,000 to $3,000 in closing costs for exactly the same rate as your bank. Whether you're looking to buy or refi, click on the blue button today at ACCUNET.com.
I'm Victor Harding, a true trial attorney at Warshevsky Law. You've heard our advertising for years. While it's been effective introducing Warshevsky to injured people in need of maximum judgments and settlements, most of our clients come from personal referral. Referrals from former clients grateful for the settlement or trial judgment Warshevsky won on their behalf. Thus, they're recommending us to friends and family. Referrals from people in the community, including other lawyers and judges who want to make sure their friends and family are taken care of. Still not sure? Ask around. Warshevsky is referred by Wisconsin law enforcement officers who've seen Warshevsky attorneys in action, desperate to make sure friends and family receive just compensation. Insurance adjusters, often our adversaries, refer their family members hurt in accidents. They know the work we do. They all refer Warshevsky because big case or small, we can help. If someone you love is injured, please let them know, because at the end of their ordeal, their injury is about the money. Warshevsky.com.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Statewide.
the latest news.
Let's get right to it. This is just breaking right now, a major development.
Exclusive investigations.
That has been confirmed by multiple sources. It is a story you will hear only right here.
In-depth analysis.
I did some digging on this and found the truth.
And plenty of fun.
And it's time now for the strangest stories of the past week.
The Dan O'Donnell Show. Weekday afternoons 3 to 6 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Just a couple of minutes left in the broadcasts. Please don't misinterpret that last segment as any sort of endorsement of any of the three named Republican gubernatorial candidates or a rebuke of any of the three. They all have strengths. They all have weaknesses. I believe the top two candidates are likely to be either Sarah Rodriguez or Josh Cole for the Dems. And I'm not a big one on, well, who matches up with who. Find the person who can raise the most money. Find the person who can run the best campaign, who has the best message, who takes it right to Democrats. Ron Johnson and Donald Trump showed how to win in Wisconsin. You have to galvanize people in rural Wisconsin, the exurban counties in western and northern Wisconsin. You have to turn out every last vote in the WOW counties, in the BOW counties, and you have to do it consistently because you know Dane County is going to turn out at 80%, 90%, or some staggeringly off the charts number. I don't know who is going to be best able to do that, but over the course of the next year, we will find out, and that's half the fun. We will, of course, be there to document all of it, and we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show.